All right. To start our morning here, we are going to watch a brief video of Brian Mullet, founder of LuxCraft, and then right out of that video, Mike Mullet will be coming to take the stage. So please watch this video.
What did it look like? Well, it was just me and my dad, and in the very beginning, it was just me and him, and we did a lot of porch swings and gliders out of wood. We started in a part of my barn. You know, I remember the kids, they were small, and I remember, well, Mike, my son, he always would have been here. My two brothers, Marlon and John, they came on board and started helping. And again, that was a demand thing. We couldn't keep up with demand, so I asked them if they would want to help and so forth. The opportunity came up to buy the land across the street, so we did that. That was one of the biggest moves, probably. We transitioned to poly and out of wood. We weren't the first, but we were one of the first. We had more and more dealers. They would come up with new ideas and so forth. We need this, we need that, and basically we just tried to keep up with demand. So that's basically how we grew. We design it not for price, but for quality, and the way it's built substantially, and it's built right. I want the customer to feel confident in that when they buy a LuxCraft, they know they're getting the best. The second thing, we manufacture for stock and then sell out of our stock. So we have the product here available all the time. We have it when the customer wants it, when the customer needs it. We have dealers that have been with us since the very beginning, and they're still buying from us. When a dealer places an order, we stage that order the day before. We'll have everything ready. We send them to a dock, and it gets loaded on their trailer, and it leaves. There's no hiccups. Everything goes smoothly. That makes my day. It was a lot of hard work. I mean, we put in some long days, but it was always fun. I never thought it would get to this, to tell you the truth. I never dreamed that it would be this. Yeah, we worked hard and we worked, long days and so forth, but we've just been very, very blessed.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to the 2026 LuxCraft dealer show. Am I on? Good. I'm Mike. I know most of you from loading trucks. I've been in the warehouse and shipping for over 12 years, so I've either loaded your truck or met you up here in years past. Couple things, as Ryan mentioned, restrooms are in the back, sign above the door there. Emergency exits in the back, through the kitchen, and then also behind the curtain here. Obviously, we hope we don't need those. Check out the tangent booth up front. We're glad they're here, and then Irvin will explain you everything you need to know about the poly lumber. And then Castle Bear, the marketing company, they can help you with your website, any marketing ideas. They do a lot of work for us behind the scenes, getting the catalog and all that put together, photos, videos. Do a really good job with that. So if you need help with that, check them out. Then also, you probably noticed when you came in, there's a lot of new items. We've been very busy. We're adding more new items than we've ever done before. If you count every item and the 3 new colors, every piece, we're adding about 10,000 pieces to the warehouse. So it's been a big undertaking. And then when you go on your shop tours, you can see we also added another 200-foot addition to the warehouse. Basically because we're adding 10,000 pieces, we needed more room. So we also added another 100 feet of shelf racking. So it looks really different back there. And I'm just going to run over the new pieces a little bit. You got the lanai deep seating swivel rocker. There's a couple up front, the white frames with the Spectrum Indigo cushions, which are new as well, and there's some under the timber frame, so be sure to check those out. The urban dining tables have done very well for us. Those are an 8 and 10 foot, and we also added the 6 foot option for this year. It's not in the catalog, but you can order a 12 foot as well as a custom order. We've done a number of those actually. And then the main new item would be the contour series. We've been working on that for a long time. Got your sleek lines, more of a modern look to it. We're very excited about that. And then the urban swivel chairs are basically an accent to the urban arm and side chairs that we've had for a while. They pair very well with the urban tables. And then we're stocking 3 new color combinations as well. Had a lot of requests for the Patriot Blue. So we're doing Patriot Blue on white and Patriot Blue on slate. Couple items that will not be made in that color, and Jonathan's going to explain all that. And then solid Brazilian walnut will be added as well. That will be fully stocked in every piece. The Brazilian on black did very well last year, so we've had a lot of requests for solid Brazilian. So we feel that will do really well for us. And then some new cushion colors, some accent pillows. The mineral blue and the flax is new for this year, kind of a modern trending colors. And in the deep seating, the Spectrum Indigo, and then be sure to check out the new leatherette cushions back here, right around the corner, the black frame set there. Those are made locally here. It's a marine grade, and they'll hold up a little bit better than your fabric will, a little more waterproof maybe. That is pretty much all the new items. Ryan mentioned the new windows up front. We did a big kind of rehab on the building here. Kind of hard to believe this used to be the shipping warehouse. Looks a little different than it did back then. Loaded a lot of trucks out the front there. But makes it feel more open in here, kind of brings the outside in, looks inviting. And I believe that is about all I've got. We'll be having a usual lunch like we usually do, Amish wedding chicken, so everybody's usually excited about that. And then I think we're all excited for spring. The snow and the ice looks nice, but I think everybody's kind of over it at this point. So we're excited for the new year, and we look forward to serving you in 2026. Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you, Mike. Well, one more shot, last chance. If you've not put your name on your door prize ticket, this is prize number 1, so you'll miss out on this one, but you still be eligible for the other 4 that we're going to do throughout the day. So, door prize number 1.
Okay, mix these up a little bit here and head back here. This young lady, see if she can pick out her name. Jordan Martin, Salem Structures. Congratulations. Oh, there he is. All right. Yeah. Whoops, shocked you. Well, all right, it's time to settle some butterflies. Yeah, want to take a minute here and thank Mike for coming up. Brian really struggled to let him do that. Just kidding. But yeah, Mike, as you might be aware, he's climbing up the ladder here at LuxCraft, and we're glad to have some young blood, young ideas, and so yeah, he's spending more time in the office and you know, having his input. So that's kind of the scoop on Mike. So yeah, just want to start off maybe with introducing myself, Jonathan, sales manager here at LuxCraft. I don't know, I've seen some faces I haven't seen yet in past years, but most people I think have been in here in the past. So I want to welcome everybody, and maybe just take this minute to thank everybody. All our dealers are obviously a vital role for LuxCraft, and I just want to sincerely thank you from my heart for your, you know, we become friends, and we can talk, we can discuss differences. Yeah, just really appreciate the honest group of guys we work with on a daily basis, and I just feel in LuxCraft, on behalf of LuxCraft, we just feel blessed to be able to have a nice group of dealers like you guys. So thanks a lot for what you do for us and for coming out today and spending the day with us here. Yeah, I've been doing this for, well, I think it's 12 years or so, and I'd like to be up here without any notes, but my forgetter is just getting better. So I'll be looking at some notes here every once in a while. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Ryan had mentioned your tickets, and I obviously I hope you had your tickets in there for the first win, and you have to be present in here to win. So we'll be doing that throughout the day, and 5% discount sale. Just be sure to hand in your orders throughout the day to the sales team in the back to make sure you get that discount sale price. There's a couple guys that had made arrangements for furniture to be picked up, and if you haven't already, you can do it at noon or when you leave. Just talk to the sales team in the back, and they'll arrange. If you haven't parked down at the warehouse yet, or just be sure to get that arranged for sure, and take the furniture along. Yeah, so I usually take this time to reflect a little bit on the past year. Looking back, 2025 had not always been so kind to us here at LuxCraft, as you're probably all aware. Amy, our dear friend and secretary here for 22 years, this fall had a sudden illness, cancer, and she passed away. So. Yeah, it's been a tough transition. It's really, yeah, it's just unbelievable. And a day like today, we really do miss her. She enjoyed this day, and she had a touch to make this happen. But I wanted to thank you guys for your condolences. There was some nice emails sent and flowers, and I just really appreciate that. And on behalf of her family and LuxCraft here, thank you for your understanding. I also wanted to mention, most of you guys probably knew Terry Smith. He was one of our longtime dealers, Smith's Auto Studio, and he had been here at our dealer conference. And this spring, he had a freak accident where he fell, and he ended up passing away as well. So yeah, we feel his loss. And I know, you know, more of you guys out there probably personally had some rough going here this past year. So yeah, I just want to, yeah, we've got everybody. If you pull together and stand together, we can make it through. I just I always like to there's a couple of verses in Proverbs. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. I think that's just an encouraging verses to think about. He is directing our paths. If we trust in him, he's not guaranteeing a blacktop, smooth path. But we do know everything is part of a greater plan, and we trust in that. So, so yeah, moving on to the furniture side of things, 2025 was a good year for LuxCraft. We had growth, a couple of percent growth from 24, so we're blessed and thankful for that, and that's a testament to the hard work you guys do. And probably one of the main highlights was the addition of the Brazilian walnut in black. We've never added a new color that had sold so well the first year after it was introduced. So Brazilian walnut in black is definitely a hot color. So I had some discussions here today and in the past week about price. We are having a 2% price increase for 2026, as you're probably well aware of it. The price went into effect February 1st. After, I think it was 3 years of not having an increase. Obviously, labor costs and the cost of doing business it keeps creeping up. So it's part of life, man. And the difference, I guess, LuxCraft, we're not into selling a cheap piece of furniture. We strive, like Mike said, and what Brian mentioned in the video, we strive to sell a quality product, and we strive to sell value. And I've said in the past, I feel, anybody can make a piece of furniture, but to stand behind it and sell the service and just, if you buy a LuxCraft, you've got support. We've got a lifetime warranty, and we do stand behind that warranty. There's crazy things happen. I know we meet all sorts of people, and but we take it an issue at a time, and we cross it off, and we move on. We just do what has to be done. So, and that's one of the things I feel sets LuxCraft apart. We've got email, phone, fax. We try to stay on communicating in a timely manner. Sometimes during the summertime, when things get crazy, I ask for a little bit of grace, but we try to get back as soon as possible. So there's going to be we're going to run a little bit of a video here, but we're going to start 2026 products. Very excited, lots of new things like Mike mentioned. We're going to jump into here a little bit of an introductory video. There's actually quite a bit we're excited about. Here in 26, we're going to introduce more new products than we've ever done in the past. And one of the big things is we're striving to have everything in stock, ready for immediate shipment. One of the most exciting parts of 26 is the new Contour series. We're doing our swings and gliders, benches, in a totally new series. So when we design new products, we get together with a team, 3 or 4 guys in the office. The beginning is a drawing, and then after that, we make a prototype. Oftentimes, that prototype gets modified multiple times. The Contour line is a result of probably at least 2 years of conversation, and it's got a modern look with the lumbar support. It's different. Our rest of our styles don't have that. It's very exciting for maybe a new customer base, possibly younger, and with the modern type look, it'll fit in well with the backyards people are dreaming about. Okay, we're just going to do a little bit of a rundown on all of our new products, then we'll take each one step by step and dig into it a little bit more. The 30-inch bistro table, the urban table in 3x6 and 4x6, lanai deep seating swivel rocker, urban swivel chair, dining counter and bar height, and then the new Contour swings, benches, and gliders, as well as also in the swivel gliders, I should mention, So and there's new colors as well. So we'll start there. Um, the new color options, solid Brazilian walnut. It just totally kind of made sense since Brazilian black combination was the hottest new color we introduced in a couple of years. So, and we did do quite a bit of custom solid Brazilian, so that's going to be a stock color for 26. And I should mention, be sure to check your master catalogs for items that are standard stock colors. I think every product we make will be stocked in solid Brazilian. Patriot Blue and White. Patriot Blue was one of the most requested colors in the last maybe 2 years or so that we just, we didn't stock that profile. So we actually, hey, people are starting to ask. So we dug in a little bit, and you know what? We're going to do the Patriot and Slate and Patriot and White, pair it with that. And I think it's a really sharp contrast color, and that dark navy blue is just, I think it'll do very well. And we've had some good response here since we sent out the binders here in December. We've seen it on the stock orders coming in. Now, the Patriot Blue and Slate and Patriot Blue and White is not stocked across the board on everything. I think like the plain style, maybe some of the classic style, just be sure to double check your master catalogs on items, their stock colors. Green, solid green is being discontinued. So yeah, be sure to note that if you order green. I think we had a product or two that was done in green and black. So those pieces will be special order. Now we do have a little bit of remnant pieces here and there in the warehouse. So if you do have a customer that wants a green bench or maybe a 4-foot glide or something like that, we might still have a couple pieces here. Well, you'd get them at the 25 prices until they're gone. So yeah, make sure that's notated. One other thing I wanted to mention maybe is the new items, the Contour series we're not doing and not stocking in the Tropical on Black. We do the Adirondack series, we do the Tropical on Black, but we're shifting maybe away from that. We don't get a whole lot of requests for that, so the new items we're not doing in Tropical on Black. But yeah, be sure to use your master catalog. That is just, it shows what everything is stocked in, and yeah, if there's questions, if it's not shown, if you don't see a picture of it, it'll be special order. So yeah. And if you need more master catalogs for your sales team, don't be afraid to ask. We've got plenty of them here. A couple new fabrics, toss pillows, and the seat cushions for our poly furniture. We got the mineral blue and also flax. The girls in the office came up with those. Trending colors. I think they'll do very well as accents. We do, in the past couple of years, we've added a lot more of these accent cushions, and we sold quite a bit. They're selling more and more. I think people just like that. It gives it more of a welcoming look maybe on your furniture. As far as the seat cushion, I don't think our furniture doesn't need it as far as comfort. But some people like it, and it's available. With the new colors and everything, it makes a nice look to it. So. Okay, now the deep seating fabric, the new colors, Spectrum Indigo is a dark navy blue. It's actually very similar to the Patriot Blue. I'm not sure if you guys maybe noticed, there's a Patriot Blue and Slate set, the center of the show over here, and there's also a deep seating set up with that, with the Spectrum Indigo cushions on a slate frame. So just be sure to notice that, how well that accents the Patriot Blue and Slate and the Spectrum Indigo with a slate frame deep seating. So that it accents very well with that. The ash gray leatherette material for the deep seating, excited for that. That's the same material that's used like in the marine boat seats. I can't say it's waterproof because where it's sewed, there's water can get in there at the seams. But it's definitely a lot more water resistant than the Sunbrella fabric is. It won't get saturated like that. Easier to clean, and it definitely gives the furniture a high-end, classy look. So a little bit more money for that. It's on your price sheet. If you have questions, if there's confusion on that at all, just ask the sales team, and we'll try to clarify that. But a little bit more expensive for the ash gray leatherette. Okay, we're going to talk about the Contour series. We'll have a little bit of a video showing what, just a couple pieces there. The Contour, like I said in the video there, we've been talking about a new style, a new look. The Contour series is not necessarily made to replace any of our other sets. We've had, the Adirondack, the plain, and the classic are just kind of timeless styles that just seem to hang in there. The Adirondack style obviously is our most popular style. So it's basically designed as a to reach a broader customer base. I think if somebody walks on your lot and you have this Contour series, it just it's more appealing to maybe younger, like I said, but maybe even an older couple that with the lumbar support, they like that as well. But it's on the same token, the look, the clean lines, the curves. It just I think it just. A shout out to our team that came up with the design, and then I'm not sure. It was probably close to 2 years where we dreamed and talked and drew and whatever, and then we did some prototypes, and they'd bring them into the office, and we'd sit on them. You got to change this and do that. I think our shop guys were probably almost mad at us before we got everything tweaked out, but. I'm happy with the finished result, and I hope you guys are as well. So, the swings available in 4 and 5 foot, just like the rest of our swings are. They're stocked fully assembled. They're on your FedEx chart. They can be sent FedEx. So, check your master catalog on the available colors, but the 5 foot has the center flip down console. They come with the stainless chains, pretty well just like the rest of our swings do. So the benches, they are 2 and 4 foot, same as the classic and plain. One difference is they're both stocked in a box. Our plain and classic benches are the 2 foot is stocked in a box, but the 4 foot is stocked fully assembled. But the Contour series benches are both stocked in a box. Very simple assembly. There's the back, the seat, and the 2 armrest leg sections. So it's pretty simple. It's smaller, compact for shipping. So that's kind of what we lean towards, putting them in a box. As you will check, there's a couple, actually right here's a couple, the profile of the legs. The rest of our furniture all had the straight legs, where these legs they follow the curve of the back, and then the front leg follows that same contour. I think it's just a neat accent, blends in well with the design. The gliders, 2, 4, and 5 foot. They're all stock fully assembled, and they do fit our balcony glider bases. So they're interchangeable with any base. If you want to have a customer that wants to do the balcony height, they'll work. They're compatible with that. 5 foot has a center console, and one thing I should note is the bases. Check out the bases on the new Contour gliders. They're just kind of simply elegant. Is kind of the best way. Yeah. The glide is the same mechanism, but the base is just a lot more. It's simple, yet built in a way where it's built for longevity, strong. So yeah, take a minute and check out those bases. Those are also on your FedEx chart, available to be shipped FedEx. You probably noticed the Contour series is a little bit more expensive than the Adirondack style. There's a lot of material that goes in there, and some of it has to do with the base. There's some pretty heavy materials that are used in the base. And like I had said before, we build our product for quality, and if you lifetime warranty, and you take the cost and you divide it by how many years. Like I had a guy point out to me, he's here somewhere, like the price you can buy a Coke at McDonald's for, if you take this piece of furniture and you figure it per year, what you pay for it, per day, it's a great value, really, because you get a lot of service. If there's anything, it's just, we're going to stand behind it. So. Yeah, we got a little bit of a video here showing the lanai, or the deep seating swivel. It's also available as a swivel, stock fully assembled. And I should also maybe note our slide-out cup holders do fit. They fit these gliders. The armrests are a tad, they're not quite as wide, but the cup holder does slide underneath, and it does work with that. So, yeah, okay, we're going to jump into the Lanai Deep Seating Swivel Rocker. That's almost a tongue twister. But that's, yeah, very excited for that. We've talked about it for probably, about a year and a half to 2 years maybe. And one of the biggest challenges was building a piece that swiveled and rocked and have a mechanism that we're comfortable with, that's going to last, stand the test of time. So we've did a lot of research. We build our own swivels in-house. They're similar to the ones that are used in our swivel gliders, but there's a plate in there to create the rocking mechanism. The swivel rocker will come in 3 boxes technically. The seat back section is exactly the same as the rest of our lanai. It's the same seat back section, and then the base part and the armrests will be in a box. The armrests are unique to the swivel glider. They're not the same armrests that you'll find on the rest of the lanai pieces, and then your cushions. So a total of 3 boxes. There's a couple scattered throughout the show, so be sure to take a seat, check them out, swivel, rock them. They're a great accent to our lanai collection. When we first came out with lanai, probably 3 years ago maybe, it was kind of a slow start, but in the last year, for sure, we sell a lot more lanai, and I think this is going to be a sale topper. This swivel glider, it's comfortable and got a good feel to it. So that is also on the FedEx chart. It can be shipped FedEx, so you want to note that. The urban swivel chair, our Adirondack swivel chair is our most popular dining chair, and it's pretty big. So last year we introduced the urban side and arm chairs, and those have been very popular. So this is kind of a cross between our very popular Adirondack swivel chair and the urban side and arm chair. It's got a smaller footprint. I think it's like 28 by 21 versus 31 by 30. So it's a little bit smaller footprint, and it's got the the new or the more of a contemporary straight line design compared to the Adirondack style. Pairs very well with the urban chair or urban tables, but it'll pair up with any of our tables really. It's available in dining, counter, and bar height. It's stocked fully assembled. It's not on our FedEx chart, so it's a little bit too big. And most times, this chair will probably be sold with a table, so we can send it LTL freight, or if it has to be drop shipped to a customer. But yeah, available dining, counter, and bar, and in all the colors that you would find the tables. A wide range of colors there on that chair. Okay. The bistro table, our round balcony table that we've had forever is probably, well, yeah, it is one of our very most popular accent tables. It's not as big as your dining table, but still it's big enough where you can put 2 chairs or maybe even 3. We sell a ton of those. It's only available in counter height. So in the last couple of years, we've gotten more requests for a square, maybe a little bit of a smaller table, smaller than our 41-inch square table, single pedestal. So this table was kind of designed using the balcony table as a base. We've got the same type of leg system, very sturdy, but it's got a square shelf, square top. And it's available in dining, counter, and bar height. So it'll pair up with the 3 different heights of chairs. Great for your patio. If you got a small balcony, you want to go counter height. And then also, if you got a bar area, you want to go high, then it's available in bar height. So definitely reach a broad customer base on those. That table is on our FedEx chart, so it can be sent FedEx. It's stocked in a box. Check your master catalog on colors. I think it's available in about all the colors we have, but it's, like I said, not in the tropical on black. So, yeah, just want to make sure we get that straight. Okay, we've got the urban dining table. Last year we introduced the urban, maybe I should backtrack a little bit more. For years we've had a 4x6 double pedestal table. That was the biggest table we had. And we constantly were getting pressure to add a bigger table. So last year we came out with the urban series table, 3x8, 4x8, 3x10, and 4x10. The 4-foot has a little bit of an oval shape to it. And we got our own custom extruded aluminum for the support underneath. So that's kind of where we were able to expand our bigger tables with the custom aluminum support. So with that being said, those chairs or those tables were very popular last year. Then we got people starting to request a smaller table to fit a smaller footprint, but they like that style. So that's why we decided to do them in 6-foot. Yeah, they're available in dining, counter, and bar height. They've got that slab look. Yeah, it's a very attractive table. Very solid foundation underneath there, and it's available in dining, counter, and bar. One thing I'll mention: this table can be sent LTL freight. It can't be sent FedEx, obviously not, but like the 8-foot and the 10-foot, like I had mentioned, they can't be sent LTL freight. They're too big for a lift gate, so they have to be shipped via home delivery service if you're selling or drop shipping to a customer. But the 6-foot, they can be sent LTL freight. So that's a side note you might want to consider. Yeah, okay, that's pretty well it for the new furniture. Yeah, I should mention, and I have to apologize, and I did talk to, we had a guy that ordered quite a bit of new stuff, and there was a table on there that we hadn't made yet, so he's not getting it today, and I apologize for that. But I'm going to have to ask for a little bit of grace on our new stuff. They're not everything is fully stocked yet. There's a lot of different components, boxes, new poly profiles that have to be brought in, and Irvin back there knows all about that. But and the Tangent has done a great job, really, supplying us with the new profiles we need to make the new Contour series. So yeah, it's a process to get everything in, and then stock everything. And like Mike said, we've got X amount of pieces, X amount of colors, and we're ending up making close to 10,000 pieces just to stock our warehouse for all of these new items. So obviously it doesn't happen overnight. So yeah, just want to make sure you're aware. If you place an order, there's new pieces on there, you might get an extended lead time. I'm hoping to stay within 2 weeks, if at all possible. If we know, if we get the order and hey, we're picking up in 2 weeks, we got a show or something, we'll make it happen. So yeah, just keep in mind some of those new pieces you might not be able to order today and pick them up in an hour. It's just, yeah. So our goal, like Brian had said in the video, is you place an order and we send you confirmation and you pick it up and everything is as you had requested. Whether it be you ordered it this morning and you wanted to pick it up this afternoon, that's very satisfying. If we can do that, because I know nobody else can do that. Yeah, you send your order in and that's our goal. Have it in stock and you pick it up whenever you want to pick it up. That we strive for that. So yeah, marketing materials. As you're probably aware, most of you, we've got a rewards program where X amount of percent of what you spend on furniture gets put into a marketing rewards account where this apparel and different items are available for purchase through that account, as well as catalogs. The master catalogs are no charge, available to your sales team. And like I've said in the past, if you need a couple more, a box full or whatever, just be sure you've got enough for all your sales team and then an extra one laying around, because that's a very valuable tool. Now, if you're going to start ordering a case every week, we might start questioning you what's going on, but those are available at no charge. The consumer catalogs are $1.50, and most people, we run them through your rewards account, so that just you don't have to pay for those out of pocket, just taken out of rewards. A shout out to the team at Castle Bear. They do an amazing job designing these catalogs, getting them together, taking pictures. They do an amazing effort in producing a classy catalog that nobody is ashamed of putting on their coffee table at home. Yeah. And like Mike said before, if you've got marketing questions, Castle has a little booth set up here to my right. Stop in and talk to them, and they'll be able to answer questions and help you out. In your backpacks, there's some order forms. I just want to make sure everybody was aware, and I'm sure you are, placing any orders that are placed and paid today, get a 5% discount off of whatever your volume discount currently is, plus the 2% paid in 10 goes into effect as well. So you're getting a good deal today on orders placed and paid today. Be sure to take advantage of that. We like to have all these orders picked up by the end of March. We're flexible. If the snow is still a foot deep by then, I hope it's not. We're flexible with you guys, and yeah, that's pretty well it for my stint up here. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. Enjoy your day. I'm excited for Clay. He's been with us here the last 2 years, I believe, and he's got a great way of presenting his points, and really enjoy listening to him.
Thanks. Jonathan, thanks for those kind words. That was really nice of you. Congratulations on rigging the door prize to let your cousin win. Just kidding. I know you didn't do that. Ryan, thank you so much. Well, good morning. I am so grateful to get to be here. And this is not the weather that I'm used to for sure. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, but this is absolutely beautiful to get to look at. So I feel so grateful to get to be in here and get to look out at that gorgeous weather. It's really great to get to be with you all. I had such a great time last year. How many of you were here last year? So about half of you maybe. Great. Well, welcome back. And then to those of you that missed last year, we're so glad you made it this year. I think it's so unique that LuxCraft invites me to come in and do this, and I feel so grateful for it. So Brian, Mike, Jonathan, thank you so much for the invite. It's an honor for me to get to be here for sure, and to get to help LuxCraft serve you is really my purpose. I think this says a lot about you, that they say, hey, we want you to come in. We want to show you some products, but we want to give you something. If you can become a better leader, if you can become a better person, will it help your business? Yeah, I think so, right? I think it'll not only help your business, it'll help your life. I spend a lot of time thinking about leadership development, about how do people develop to become a better leader. But what I found is that leadership development is really akin to people development. They're both Yoders, they're cousins. I mean, they are related to each other. That if you want to be a better leader, the key to becoming a better leader is become a better person. Grow as a person that's more aware of who you are, more aware of what motivates other people, stronger character, better integrity, better empathy to understand what somebody else is feeling. You grow as a person, you'll naturally grow as a leader. Whenever the leader grows, everything in the business gets better. So as you level up your ability to work with other people, to manage other people, to lead yourself, to lead others, it will certainly enhance your business. And so for them to bring me in to say, hey, we want to make an investment in you. There's a lot of companies that talk about serving their customers, but for LuxCraft to go this far, to this length, to do something like this, I think it definitely says a lot about them, but it says a lot about how they feel about you as well. Let me start with this quick little story. When I was, this is probably 2 or 3 years ago, our youngest child, my wife and I live in Atlanta. We've got 5 kids. We met in seminary. We met in graduate school. I went to college to study engineering, but went to graduate school to study theology until I met this girl and I started studying her. Hey, right? We met, got engaged, got married very quickly. I quickly learned in our marriage the way this thing was going to work is I would come home from work. I would just want to have a conversation. I'd want to get to know her, and she would not keep her hands off of me. And it was a wild ride. I'm just totally kidding. She's not here, so I can say that. But we do. I absolutely love her still after 20 years of marriage. But through that process, we have 5 kids, and our oldest is 16. Our youngest is 8. And when our youngest was going off to kindergarten, I'll never forget the story because it was such a key moment, such a pivotal moment in our family because this is our last kid going off to school. And my wife's in the carpool line, driving the minivan. He kind of unbuckles his seat. You can imagine it, stands up out of his little booster seat, and he's standing right over her shoulder. And she could feel his little heart beating. She could tell this is faster than normal, right? Incredible intuition from a mother. And she kind of looks back over her shoulder and she says, "You nervous, buddy?" And he said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, you want to pray about it?" He said, "Sure." And so they pray, God, would you be with him today? Would you give him strength today? Help him to not let the anxiety win, but help him to experience some peace today, even though he's going to school for the first time. She says, "Amen." He looks up with these big, bright eyes and he goes, "Well, that didn't work." Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt like we've tried everything and it's just not working? We've bumped into challenges, bumped into hardship. It feels like every time we turn around, there's a new situation. Something's late. Something's not even going to be here. We lost a client. We lost a partner. The rent went up, whatever it may be. I want to talk in this session this morning about that, about the headwind that is so common for us to face in business. The headwind of trying to do the right thing and trying to be the kind of business that you want to be, but yet there's always challenges, right? How can we become a more resilient leader? How can we become a more resilient person so that those disruptions, those challenges that get in the way, so that, yeah, they may knock us down, they may swing a punch at us, but they don't have to knock us out, right? If you're a fan of music from the 90s, you remember that Chumbawamba song, I get knocked down, but I get up again, right? That's the hope for becoming a more resilient leader, is that, yeah, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be headwind, but this is not going to define me. It's not going to determine my success or lack thereof, but instead, I'm going to learn how to take that challenge, take that obstacle, take that disruption, and turn it into something that would allow me to become a more resilient leader. Now, I was a pastor for 20 years. So I spent a lot of time in the church world. I've sat down with so many couples, men and women, stood in front of crowds, audiences, in small groups. And I am passionate about learning how people grow, which is what in turn caused me to write this book, the one that Ryan mentioned earlier. It's called How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. I wanted to give this away. This is, I'm not going to give it to my cousin because I don't have any cousins here, but like Jonathan, I would if I could. Is anybody here, you're new in your job? You've been in your job the last 3 months. Awesome. Tell me your name. Trent. This is Trent, everybody. Say hello to Trent if you would. Trent, where are you from?
Right here in Ohio.
Live here in Ohio. Who you working with?
I'm working with Wayside Lawn Structures.
Wayside Lawn Structures from Columbiana. Fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to ask you, do you read? I don't mean can you read? A little bit, yeah. I know you can read. I know not everybody reads books these days, right? So here's the deal, Trent, if you would, I think it'll help you become a better leader. If you read it, great. If you like it, even better. If you don't like it, please don't review it on Amazon. And I'll make sure to not do the same for you all. I got 5 kids, trying to keep the boat afloat. I wrote that book, really the heart was, I'm trying to figure out how can I be a leader in the position that I'm in, even though I don't have all the authority that I think I need, right? Authority sometimes is one of the headwinds that we feel. We feel like, oh, if they would just put me in charge of that, if they would give me more power, if they would give me a bigger title, I'd be able to do more with it. But whether your issue is a lack of authority, whether your issue are thin margins, whether your issues are the expectations that are so high from the clients that you serve, I want you to think for just a second. I want you to, if you're a note taker, you got a little notepad in front of you, or if you're taking notes, I see this man's taking notes on that iPad. That's fantastic. However you take notes, I want you to write down an answer to 2 questions. These are very simple questions. But I want you to write down, number 1, what's working? What is working? Obviously, I was thinking of this question in regard to your business, but if you want to think about it in your personal life, hey, it's your life, it's your pen, it's your notepad, do whatever you want with it. But I want you to answer the 1 question, what's working? And then number 2, what's not working? What's the thing that's the challenge for you, the disruption for you, the thing that's causing you to, toss and turn on those sleepless nights? What's the thing in your business that's not working? 1, what's working? 2, what's not working? Would you write down an answer? And then I'd love for you to just take, after you're finished, just so that I know you're kind of done, you can put your pencil down or your pen down. And would you take just 3 minutes around your table? I'm sure you've already met. I'm sure in a lot of cases you work with each other. But I'm going to just give you 3 minutes. We're going to have some more time to discuss later the way we've orchestrated these sessions. I'm going to speak for about 30, 40 minutes, and then we're going to hand it over to you and give you a couple discussion questions. Again, one of the things I've learned about the way people learn, the way people grow, do we grow when we're exposed to content, to resources, when we hear something new or when we are reminded of something? Sure. But we really grow through relationships. We grow when we have conversations about what we're learning with each other. And so we're going to do that at the end, but this at the beginning, I just want to get things started. Would you just answer those 2 questions? Tell everybody, here's what's working, and here's what I wrote down that's not working. You can just go around the circle, or you can popcorn it. I'll give you 3 minutes. All right. Let me pull it back together. Let me hear one thing from your table. Was there any commonality between what's not working? Did anybody say something similar? Anybody willing to share what you said on what is not working? Yep.
What was not working for me,
This
my wife and I have been married for 46 years.
this is Bob. Everybody say hello, Bob.
Thanks, Josh. No. Well, you would think after 46 years of marriage I'd have it figured out, but it took me a long time to figure it out. I was a very introverted, somewhat person. I wouldn't open up, let my feelings out. Silence was not working for me, and it's changed over the last year. So that's what's up.
That's good. Learning how to communicate. Thanks, Bob. It's amazing. I appreciate that you answered it from a personal standpoint. I mean, it's amazing how I would assume, particularly for those of you, I know we got some business owners, business founders, but whether you own your own thing or not, it's amazing how much our personal life has its way of moving into our work life, right? They really do affect each other. Give me another one. Somebody has something you shared? How about this table right here? You guys are a well-populated table. Who's the boss? Oh my gosh, they all pointed at someone else. All right, well, I'm going to start with you. Mose, call somebody out. Have somebody share here if you don't mind. Great. What's your name?
Andre.
Andre. Everybody say good morning, Andre.
Good morning.
What did you say, Andre?
Well, for what's working, it seemed like to me relationships was a big thing. And then in today's world, getting to customers, figuring out where to put advertising dollars is a big one for us.
Yeah, it's great how to get in front of them, right? So that they see your stuff. That's great. Thank you, Andre. Well done. I hope for you, I know a lot of you work together, and hopefully it was something that, maybe something to learn there. I think that simple question is a real great question to ask on a fairly regular basis, once a quarter or so when you have your team meetings, to be able to ask that question. It's just a great way to dive deep as far down into the organization as possible to go, what are people feeling? What are people experiencing? What are the problems that if we could solve would really change things? But oftentimes that connects to what our disruptions are, what those obstacles are, what those things that get in our way. Here's what I'm learning about resilience is it's not something you wish for, it's something you fight for. It's something you have to every single day be willing to go, I'm fighting for this. Resilience is about bouncing back from disruption, bouncing back from the hard things. It's about rolling with the punches, and it's about becoming more agile, becoming more, I like the term, becoming more emotionally agile, to be able to bounce back from situations when a dream dies, when you lose something, when you lose someone, when something hard happens, when you face difficulty. Resilience is about squeezing the curve, right? There's a natural curve that happens. You know, I have the hardship, I have the tough experience, I go through something hard, and then I come out on the other side. Everybody's got a story of it, but resilience is about how do we go through it faster, how do we go through it quicker, how do we go through it in a way where it takes less of a toll on us, where we're more agile to be able to get through it better the next time. That's my hope for this session, is that every one of us would be able to do that. I tried to ask the question of myself, well, why don't most leaders become more resilient? You might have your own answer, but I'll give you just a couple that I thought of. Number one, because we mistake our comfort for health, right? I don't know how many of you love comfort, but my guess is most everyone does, right? Now, we might have a different answer for what comfort is, but what oftentimes happens is when we feel discomfort, when we feel uncomfortable, we think something's wrong, and so we retreat. We try to find that space of comfortability. So oftentimes we avoid the challenges, we avoid the hard things that are actually meant to make us. They're actually meant to form us. They're actually meant to make us better, and we all run from them, unfortunately, right? And we think something's wrong just because we're facing some kind of disruption or some kind of hardship, whereas we know that's not the case, right? There is no perfectly comfortable life, and the place where we grow, the space where we've grown the most in the past, are in those moments of discomfort, those moments of difficulty, those moments of challenge. But oftentimes we mistake our own comfort for, oh, then something must be unhealthy because I'm going through something hard. Number two, we personalize our struggle instead of interpreting our struggle. This is going to be a big part of what we're going to talk about in this session is, what does it look like to not let that struggle win, but instead to harness that struggle to get it to do the thing that it's meaning to do? What is the point of the struggle? It's to teach you something, to show you something, to form something in you, right? But when we personalize it and let it identify us, when we let it own us, versus learning how to just interpret it, learning how to read it, learning how to find the meaning in it, most people aren't able to do that. And then thirdly, too many of us isolate when resilience requires connection. Our family, one of our favorite things to do is during the summer we go and serve at this camp that a couple of our really close friends started. It's called Hope Heals. It's the only camp in America that is it's a camp for any disability of any age. They've got kids there, they've got adults there, and three, it's the whole family. So it's a really unique environment where they're really trying to level the playing field, trying to create a space where it's not the typically abled people helping people with disabilities, but it's the idea that we all need each other, that we all learn from each other, right? Everybody's got some kind of disability in this room, just some of them are invisible, right? And my good friend Catherine Wolf that started that camp, Catherine had a massive stroke when she was 24 and it severely limited her physical ability. But what I've told her numerous times is, I might be able to open the door for you every now and then. You need me to open the door for you, but you know what I need more than anything else is I need her story of resilience. I need to know, how have you been inspired to do what you've been able to do? So every summer at that camp, it's one of the best things we learn is that we cannot do this life alone, that we have to have each other. And what almost every one of them says, if you've got a kid with autism, or if you've got maybe a parent who's gone through a stroke, or lost a limb, or been through some health crisis, or maybe you yourself have you ever had one of those experiences where somebody asks you how things are going, and you tell them how things are honestly and actually going, and they do that Bart Simpson thing back into the bush, you know? Where they're just like, I'm sorry I asked, right? Exactly. My brother in the back's got it, right? Where you're just like, that's all too much. I can't handle that. That's overwhelming. Everybody's experienced that on either side of that. But the truth is that if we're going to get through what it is we need to get through, if we're going to learn what we are really going to need to learn, is that we cannot retreat to isolation, that we have to stay connected. And learning how to do that is not easy. So here's what I want to do, is I want to give you just 4 pillars, 4 big ideas, 4 big principles for resilient leaders. I'm going to try to answer some simple questions like, why does this hurt so bad? And what is this pain for? And what does this say about me? And what am I supposed to do with this? Some really key questions of some of those disruptions. I think there'll be application. My hope is that there'll be application for your business. There'll be application for your team. You'll be able to apply this at work. But as Bob did earlier, where he immediately equated this to his personal life, I hope that there's going to be some real personal application to this as well. And I'll just be straight up with you all, since Jonathan already quoted the proverb. I thought when he did that, I was like, oh, this is wonderful. Where I got all of this is from this book called James. James was written by Jesus' half-brother. And at the very beginning of James, he makes this incredible statement where he says, consider it pure joy when you go through trials of many kinds. Some of you might be hearing that going, was he drunk when he said that, when he wrote that, right? Consider it joy when you go through trials of many kinds. That doesn't even seem possible. But not only is it possible, it is essential. He says, consider it pure joy when you go through trials of many kinds, because the trial is going to test your faith, which is going to lead to perseverance. I don't know what your business needs. I don't know you well enough, and I don't know your business well enough. But I do know this, is that if you had more perseverance, it would help you in life. He said that perseverance is going to lead to allowing you to be more mature and to be more complete, both as a person but also as a business. I love that we started off telling a little bit of the background, the history of LuxCraft, but I guarantee you, in the history of LuxCraft, in the history of your business, in the history of your life, every single one of us has a story to tell. Everybody has a moment where I was down, right? Y'all know that Mike Tyson quote? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Everybody's got that story of I was there. I was on the mat. But somehow, some way, the people around me rallied. I was able to dig deep and find some internal strength. Maybe in your case, you would say it felt like God was there to pick me up. Whatever the case may be, there was a moment where you were down, you were able to get up, and that moment has allowed you to build resilience and make it to where you are now. Everybody's got that story. And what we learn about people who've gone through anything like that is that there are some truths, there are some principles, there are some pillars to pay attention to that hold up the resilient leader. So I'm going to give you those. Here they are. The first time is the worst time. The first time is the worst time. That's a picture of TSA security. Where are my friends that I just met? Linda, she flew here from Bozeman, Montana. Linda, wave at everybody real quick. They own a bakery. Oh, there's your husband. Is it Shane? Shane and Linda from Bozeman, their daughter Cadence, they got a bakery in Bozeman. I was like, a bakery? Why are you here at a furniture deal? Because they use LuxCraft furniture, and also we sell LuxCraft furniture, which I think that's brilliant, by the way. They're like, hey, would you like a table to go along with the pie that you just bought, right? That's pretty awesome. That's quite an add-on. They flew here from Bozeman. They had to go through TSA security, right? Everybody's done that before. It's amazing how I don't know, I listen to a lot of comedians. Comedians talk about travel a lot, right? Why? Because they travel a lot. And so as someone who last year I did about 70 different speaking events. I spent a lot of time traveling. And so I spent a lot of time going through security. My wife and I have discovered this. She hates traveling. And you know what she hates about traveling? Traveling. She hates security. She hates going through security, right? And if you don't do it a lot, it is really annoying. Can you remember the first time? Or maybe, in some cases, the first time post 9/11, right? That you went through security and people are yelling at you. People are looking at you with scowls. People are saying, hurry. You don't know whether to take your shoes off, leave your shoes on, put your knife in your shoe, do whatever you're supposed to do, right? You're all turned around. And it takes a lot out of you, right? You think about that resilience curve. I mean, it takes a long time to get through, and it sucks a lot of life out of you. But like many of you, that if you've traveled before, anything you've done over and over and over again, like maybe putting furniture together. If I had to put some of the furniture together that you've put together, it would suck the life out of me, and it would take me a long time. But I bet some of you, you've done it so much now, it just doesn't drain you like it once did, right? This is the great news about resilience. And there's a science to this, right? When you go through something new, what does your brain do immediately? Your brain looks for a reference file, right? Your brain goes, ooh, hardship. Let me find out what this is all about. And then your brain tries to take an account of it, and then your brain looks through the filing cabinet and goes, let me find it. Where have we been through this before? Where's the reference file, right? And if your brain can't find it, you get all stressed. You go, oh no, this is uncertainty. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how long this is going to take, right? It's just the way our brains are wired. But on the flip side, the more you do something, in most cases, the easier it gets, right? Now, I just tell you that to say, you got to keep that front and center when you're thinking about disruption, when you're thinking about hard things, when you're thinking about pain. Because that's a really important reminder to go, oh, this uncertainty that we're facing, this is new, this is unusual, I haven't seen it before, the pain's going to be greater. But some of you that have been around a long time, you've seen it, right? It's one of the great things about anybody grandparents in here? Is it not? It's got to be the most amazing thing to watch or I don't know if it's an amazing thing, but there's some peace that comes when you watch your kids parent. For one, I'm sure you're thinking, I'm so glad that ain't me, right? But two, you have this objectivity. Grandparents have this great way of being like, you're freaking out over this little thing is gonna be okay. We've seen it before, so they swallowed a penny. You'll be all right, right? You see some of the weirdest things happen and you don't freak out because you've got this experience, right, that you have, that you've gained, that's built some resilience. And the same thing happens at work. That you got to remind yourself, hey, if this is something we've never been through before, it's going to feel way worse than it actually is. But, like going through the TSA line, if we're able to stand up to it, if we're able to stay in the fight, if we're able to continue to bounce back, we're going to be able to develop some resilience, and we'll be able to bounce back quicker and with more energy through the process. We're going to be able to squeeze the curve. All right, number two, second pillar of resilient leaders. Your struggle can become your superpower. Your struggle has the potential to become your superpower. We're going to talk about this in just a second when we sit around our tables and discuss this. And one of the hardest things for me is going to be not being able to hear all your stories. Because one of my favorite things about getting to do what I get to do is I get to meet so many different people and hear so many different people's stories of how their struggle has become their superpower. I don't want to, I wouldn't, not everybody would feel comfortable to say it publicly, but if you've ever been through any kind of rehab or recovery, one of my favorite things to do working at a church was getting to work with people who are coming out of recovery. Going into recovery is not easy, but there's incredible meaning coming out of recovery. Why? Well, because now these people are all of a sudden the most honest people on the planet. I mean, they are, when you hit rock bottom, you don't have to put on a show. You're not trying to save face. You're not trying to, do all the things that we do to, buy the things that we don't really need to impress the people that we don't really like. People that are coming out of recovery, they are done with that, right? And it's actually very refreshing. But one of the things that I've learned over and over again is the way people use the struggle to then go and help somebody else with the same thing. I've seen it hundreds of times. And you've seen it in your life as well, right? In fact, that's one of the key tenets of the 12-step program. What do you got to do as a part of the 12-step program? You got to get yourself sober, and you got to pay attention that there's this reality outside of you that's bigger than yourself. But then what do you got to do for somebody else? What do you got to do? You got to go be a sponsor to help somebody else. And what they would say is, that's not just for them. Who's that for? That's for your own recovery, right? It's amazing the way we're wired, that we are wired that way. That if you want to grow, the best way to grow is to take the hard thing you've been through and not to be grateful for it. I would never say that. I don't know that you're going to be grateful for the hard things, the hardest things that you've been through. But I've learned this from a lot of different places, but one of them was from Viktor Frankl. If you've ever read Man's Search for Meaning, incredible book that everybody needs to read multiple times in life, because what he learned through being a Holocaust survivor, some of the wisdom that he writes in Man's Search for Meaning, he says this. Let me just read it directly, because I wrote this quote down earlier this morning as I was thinking about this. Here's what he says. He says, your suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds meaning. That's powerful. That your suffering, it ceases to be suffering the moment you find meaning, like realizing that a past failure taught you independence that you needed to be able to lead, or that your past failure taught you resilience that you needed to be able to get through. And so I'm just telling you, the thing you went through, the disruption you're facing, the challenge you're facing, is it difficult? Sure. Is it an obstacle that's in your way? Sure. Is it a nuisance? Of course. But it will cease to become suffering the moment you realize that it has the potential to shape you. It has the potential to make you. It has the potential to grow you into the leader, into the person that your business needs you, that the people around you need you to be. Anybody love the weight room? All right, great. These are the psychos in the room. It's good to know. No, I have never loved the weight room. I don't know why. It was one of the challenges. I played a lot of sports growing up, and one of the things that I do not like about what I learned about sports is that working out was always punishment. You know, it was like you made an error, run foul ball to foul post to foul post, right? You made a turnover, another suicide, right? You made a mistake in the game, get down and give me 20 push-ups. And so now I just naturally associate failure, you did something wrong, with exercise, which that's not good, right? Because it really can, those of you that enjoy it, somehow you've been able to find joy in it. But here's why I don't love the weight room. I've never loved the weight room. I don't love the weight room. This is going to seem trivial. This is going to seem elementary. I hate the weight room because the weights are heavy. That's why I don't mind doing this. There's nothing about that motion that I mind. I mind doing it when you put a bar in front of me with some weights on it, right? But you know this, what's the point of the weights? It creates resistance. What's the point of the resistance? Is that if you will push your way through it, what will it create? Lactic acid that will eventually build strength, right? And it's true in the weight room, but it's true in life as well. That your struggle, the struggle that you're facing, the obstacle that, if you can reframe it and go, I don't love it, I'm never going to be grateful for it, but I'm going to find the meaning in it. I'm not going to let it tell me who I am. I'm going to interpret it, and I'm going to find the good that it can actually grow in us. Listen, some of you got a crazy story about the way the hardest thing you bumped into work-wise ended up turning out to be the thing that allowed you to find this new side of your business that you never would have found, right? You got that story. Is it possible that we can face our challenges, face our struggles, face our hardship in the same way? People that are resilient, they know how to do this. Great leaders know how to do this. And if you want to become a resilient leader, this pillar is essential. The first time's the worst time, and your struggle can certainly become your superpower. All right, number 3. You have the potential to handle rejection without being defined by it. It is possible for you to handle rejection without being defined by it. What is rejection in a business sense? Somebody throw out a couple options. What are examples of rejection in business, at work? Losing a sale. You're not closing the sale. What else? You got an idea of how we ought to do things, and everybody goes, really appreciate you throwing that out. We're going to do the opposite, right? And you go, cool, that does not feel good. What else? A bad review, a bad performance review, right? You were trying your best. I'll tell you what, there's not much worse in life when you actually try really hard and it doesn't work, you know? I had to take physics 2 3 times in college. The first time, I didn't try. And so failing it, I was like, I get it. I deserved it. The second time, I gave it all my effort and still failed. That one hurt way more, right? Because when you give it all you got, you're like, I was really actually in this, and then you're telling me that that wasn't enough or that that's not going to cut it. That's really difficult, right? Getting passed over for a promotion. An employee leaving, right? One of your key employees that you've invested in for year after year after year, you brought them to the LuxCraft conference, right? To the LuxCraft event last year. And then where are they now? Now they're working for your competitor. We used to feel this way whenever somebody would leave our church and go to another church. And they'd be like, don't take it personal. And I'd be like, impossible. We will absolutely take this personally, right? Because you can't not. Like, it is incredibly personal. We don't want to see you anymore or be around you again, but don't take that personally. You're like, I don't really know how to do that, but okay, right? Here's the danger. There's rejection all the time. The danger of rejection is rejection wants to stake an identity on you. It wants to own you. It wants to cause you to start defining yourself based on that rejection. Secure leaders, great leaders, resilient leaders, they know how to take the rejection and not let it cause me to run the other way. I'm not going to go hide under a table. I'm just going to admit to what happened. I'm going to be willing to share the pain of how it felt, but I'm going to still stand up and show up anyway. Great leaders, resilient leaders, they know how to be in a relationship with someone, experience that rejection, and still show up in the relationship. Now, it's not about numbing yourself. It's not about finding some coping mechanism to where you don't feel it. I'll never forget, I was doing a funeral of a woman who lost her husband in this little plane crash. She was interested in planes and had put this plane together and flew it and crashed and died, and they had a couple little kids. And I'm standing up front, standing at the door. We're about to walk up front to go bring the family in for this funeral. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And she looks over at me and she goes, "The doctor told me I wasn't going to feel this, and I'm feeling it." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" And she was like, "Yeah, I went and got some medication so that I didn't have to feel this today. And he told me I wasn't going to feel it, and I'm feeling it." I was like, "Oh, no. I don't know that that's the right move," right? Now, sometimes medication can be extremely helpful. I took my ADHD medication today. These talks would be a whole lot more fun if I hadn't, but they'll stay on track a lot better because of it. There's some good, obviously, a lot of good in medication, but there's some things that, hey, it's important to feel it. It's important to feel that, right? It reminds us that we're human. It's important to feel that because it builds our empathy. It allows us to know, I know how someone else feels when they've gone through this, right? But there's a difference between letting that feeling, letting that experience own you, and then feeling it, letting go of it, and showing up again. And that's what every one of us has to learn how to do, right? And a lot of this has to do with your background and your parents and your grandparents and your family situation. But I'm telling you, as a leader, if you want to be the best leader that you can be, you got to deal with all that so you can show up and be your best today. But if you want to be a resilient leader, you got to learn how to take that rejection and not let it define you, not let it own you, not let it identify you, but instead show up anyway, despite or in the face of the rejection. It's what great resilient leaders do. All right, last one. 4 pillars of resilient leaders. Number 1, the first time's the worst time. Number 2, your struggle can become your superpower. Number 3, you can face rejection. You can experience rejection without it identifying and owning, defining you. And then number 4, you cannot bounce back alone. You just cannot. Bouncing back, building resilience, it's a team sport. It involves other people. You got to have those people in your corner. And this is what I love about working with businesses like yours, is that my guess is a lot of you have created a family-like culture at your business where it's not just work for people. Like we've become friends. We've gone through some really hard stuff. It's one of the beauties of work. One of the hard things about it is you spend oftentimes more time with people at work than you do with your own family, right? And some of you, that's the greatest silver lining of work, is that you get to spend more time with these people instead of the people that that you're related to. But either way, whether you got a great family, whether you got a hard family situation, whether you love the people you work with or whether you don't, building resilience, becoming a more resilient leader demands leaning on other people. Now, why don't we lean on other people to help us build resistance? Why don't we do it? Why is it hard for us? Pride. Yeah, nobody likes feeling like I need somebody, right? We like feeling like I got this. I'm good. What else? Yeah, we fear their rejection, right? We talked about that earlier. What if they experience your hardship, and what if they go, "Whoa, I don't believe I'd have shared that. That's a little much," right? Any other ones? Yeah, you said 2 different things, but they're really related, right? She said trust, and you said because people can let you down. And maybe some of you have a hard time trusting others because people have let you down in the past. The hard part about the danger of that, though, it's like saying, well, do you go to the dentist? Oh, no, I don't go to the dentist. Why not? Oh, I had a terrible dentist one time, and so I don't go. Okay. You ever get your hair cut? Oh, no, I don't get my hair cut. Why not? Because I had a bad haircut one time. It was terrible, so I don't get it cut anymore, right? It's silly. You wouldn't do that, right? But at the same time, we do it with people. We go, well, I've been let down before, and so I don't feel like I can show up anymore because what if I get let down again? But I'm telling you, Resilient leaders know how to go. I've been let down before. I know that I have a hard time trusting people. I know that I got pride. I know that I want to show that I can do it. But I'm also aware, I'm more aware, that you can't build resilience alone, that I got to have each other. And so maybe it means you got to talk to somebody about it. Maybe it means you got to be honest and upfront about it. Maybe it means you got to be more open than you think you even need to be. But if you want to become a more resilient leader, you've got to be willing to lean in to relationships. Now, here's one of the great things about an event like this. How many of you don't know anybody in this room other than people you're sitting with? A few of you? And I know some of you go, I mean, I know a couple people, but I don't really know a lot of people well. We're about to go sit down and have lunch. We're going to have some breaks. You're going to get a chance to talk. I'm not saying like, get over in the corner and share all your deepest, darkest secrets unless you feel like you need to. But here's what I've learned. There are two people that you'll be really, really honest with. Your closest friends and the person that you're sitting next to on the plane that you just met. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird how that works. You're like, I mean, I had dinner last night with a couple of friends, and I couldn't believe how honest and open we were. And there was something about the fact that we don't see each other all the time. I'm not really in their world. They're not really in mine. It gives you this freedom to be a little bit more open, a little bit more honest. And so I would just encourage you, even in the next couple of hours that we're going to have together here, all the posturing that oftentimes we feel like we got to do of, I'm a really big deal, and if you only knew how important I am, whatever it is that we do, let's just check all that at the door. Let's just try to have open and honest conversations. If there's something you're struggling with in your business, would you be willing to be honest about it? Because chances are somebody else here has experienced the same thing. I'll never forget during COVID, we had there was a woman who was going to our church. She had previously been the CEO of Popeyes. She had really done an amazing job turning Popeyes around. Incredible leader. Her name is Cheryl Batchelder. And I said, she came and spoke to our leadership team. I said, Cheryl, tell us, what do you see? She's on all kinds of boards. I'm like, what are you seeing at boards? What are they struggling with? And she said this, I'll never forget it. She said, most people think that all the answers to their questions are in the boardroom. They're not. The answers are out with the people, and you got to go get them. That changed everything for me. I thought, oh my goodness, this is great. Because every one of us wants to go, I know it all. I got it all. I'm good. But the truth is, the problem you're facing, the answer's out there. The answer might be even in this room. But you got to be willing to put yourself out there to go and get it. And that's what resilient leaders do. Resilient leaders are unafraid to do that. I mentioned we got a few kids. Those of you got little kids at home, you can pardon this. This is going to really annoy you. But anybody read this book? You remember reading this book to a kid when they were younger? Some of you can remember when somebody read you this book. I just looked at you that way. How old are you? Yeah, 35. You look younger, bro. Well done. Yeah, I don't know whether you've read it, whether it's been read to you, but this is one of our favorite stories when our kids were little. We're going on a bear hunt, and we're going to catch. Y'all have never read this book, and you've never heard this book, clearly. All right, well, here's the way the book goes. We're going on a bear hunt, and we're going to catch a big one. And the book just keeps going over and over again. And they go through the long, tall grass. They go through the thick mud. They go through the snowstorm. They get to the river, and they go, oh, no, what are we going to do about this river? And the point of the book is to say, at the very end, all it says over and over again, it says, we're going on a bear hunt. We're not going to go around it. We can't go under it. We got to go. You mind saying that out loud? We got to go. We got to go through it. Resilient leaders, they're the kinds of people that are aware. Would I love to go around this? Sure. Would I love to go over it? Sure. Would I love to go under it? Anything but going through it. But resilient leaders know, hey, for us to get to where we want to be, we got to go through it. We got to go through over and over again throughout the Bible, they talk about it in different ways, but one of the most famous ones, whether you're a Christian person or not, you may have heard of Psalm 23, right? That King David, the shepherd, wrote. He said this. He said, even though I go through the dark valley, the valley of the shadow of death, right? Even though I go through this valley, the valley of the shadow of death, I don't have to fear because I know you're with me. I know there's something good on the other side. And I'm telling you, this is where resiliency is born. It's born, it's grown when we go, you know what, this is going to be hard, but I'm willing to go through it because it's going to shape something in me. It's not going to define me, but it's going to shape something in me. And if you want to become a resilient leader, this is what you got to choose to do. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to give you some questions. I would love to invite you. I'd love to encourage you to just be open and honest. Don't, some rules about talking at a table. Number one, you got to say something, right? You can't say nothing. So be willing to, it's like a potluck. You can't just come and eat everybody else's food. You got to bring a little something yourself. Bring them a little bit of your mac and cheese, right? But then number two, don't talk the whole time, right? Like, share the mic a little bit. The kids these days, I don't know if you're around teenagers, but I learned so much vocabulary from our teenagers. And our teenagers, they call that, anybody that talks about themselves all the time, they call it main character energy. Have you ever heard that? It's a kind of a brilliant phrase, right? Don't have main character energy. Share the mic. Ask somebody else a follow-up question. Encourage somebody else to talk that hasn't talked. And I'm going to give you 3 of these questions and would love for you to be willing to answer them. Here they go. The first one is this. Is that font, those in the back, is that too small? Can you read that? Give me like a, you can't read it, thumbs down. Shoot. What if you take a picture on your phone? Would that help you? I don't have another solution, but try taking a picture on your phone and then zooming in. Maybe that would help you, but I'm sorry. I'll pay attention to that for the next session. But I'll read it to you. Here's the first question. Where are you currently experiencing the most disruption or pressure in your leadership? So where are you experiencing pressure, disruption, and obstacle in your leadership? And then secondly, what might that struggle be trying to teach you? Let's not be defined by it. Let's not personalize it. Let's interpret it. And then second question is this. Can you think about a recent rejection or criticism that you received? And how did you interpret it? How might you reframe it to separate from what happened to you to what it means about you? So is there a recent criticism, a recent rejection, we lost a customer? How would you reframe it, not to define you, but to show here's what I can learn from it, or here's what I have learned or am learning from it? And then number 3, who are the 1 to 2 people that, as I was talking about resilience being a team sport, you thought, you know what, I need to reach out to that person more? Was there a person or 2 that came to your mind that you want to invite into your current struggle so you're not fighting it alone? And then what's one concrete step you might take this week to do that? What's one concrete step that you might take to do that? Any questions, any thoughts, any feedback? I'll be around. Would love to say hello to you. You'll have about 20 minutes, and then Ryan will come and move us along.
All right, I'm going to invite the team from Castlebear. So Seth Teeter and Zach Hum will be joining us. And some of what Clay talked about in the first conversation there was really relevant. So today we're going to be discussing a bit about how in a sea of sameness are you as a business going to stand apart. Come on up, guys. So how are you going to talk about yourself, and how are customers going to find you? So without further ado, Seth and Zach.
Morning. I'll start with a little story about a farmer. He was out working his fields, middle of the drought, sees a storm off on the horizon. Neighbors come over and say, "Oh, storm is coming. What great news." Farmer looks at him and says, "Maybe." That night, the storm comes through, blows his barn doors open, his horse runs away. Neighbor comes back over. "I'm so sorry, this is terrible news, your horse ran away." "Maybe." A week later, the horse returns, brings 4 wild horses with it. Neighbor comes back over. "Oh, how lucky you are, this is great news." Maybe. Military general comes through the village, or I'm sorry, I'm one ahead. The farmer's son goes to break the new horses, training the horses, gets thrown, flies off, breaks his hip. Neighbor comes over. "This is such terrible news, I'm so sorry." Farmer says, "Maybe." Military general comes to the village. He's recruiting young men to go to war. Sees the farmer's son with a broken hip, passes him over. Neighbor comes over. "Oh, you're so lucky, this is great news." Farmer says, "Maybe." Point is, most of life comes to us as a maybe, and this is true in our businesses too. And in marketing, we're trying to solve that maybe. We're trying to give some people some sign that what they're getting for, what they're purchasing is going to solve the thing that they're looking for in their lives. And the farmer's attitude feels so counterintuitive because most of us don't like that maybe. We want certainty, we want to have a story, we want to be attached to some idea that if we do X, Y, and Z, it's going to work out this certain way. So a lot of what we're doing in marketing is people want fewer knowns, unknowns, and less regret, and our job is to reduce the guesswork. They start out shopping for furniture. At some point, they're shopping for confidence in the product. Another story. There was a guy, he wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Whatever college football team you don't like, that's what school he went to. So he wanted to go to Amish country. He's heard great things about it, gets in the car one day, heads on out, gets to the sign, welcome to Amish country, gets out of his car, starts taking pictures, looks around, hey, this is all right. Gets back in the car, goes home. His friends ask, hey, how was Amish country? And he goes, yeah, it was okay, There's some wildflowers, there's a barn off in the distance. It was right next to the road. He stopped at the sign, but he never got to the experience. And that's what a lot of times happens in marketing, is we're trying to give people words or indicators or messaging or whatever it is to try to get them to the experience, but it's not compelling, or they're stopping at the sign. They kind of know where they're at. We let them know they're in the right place, but they're not getting to the experience. And it's not about the product so much as the clarity around the product and the words we're using to describe the product. And a lot of times in whatever industry we're in, we inherit a lot of words. There's just things in the industry that people say all the time that let people know they're in the right place. We are a high-end furniture company. We are a family furniture showroom, whatever it is. High quality, crafted, premium, durable, timeless, low maintenance. These words are all fine. They let people know they're in the right place. They let you know what kind of business you're in. You guys could probably add to this list. But what they don't do is separate you from your competition. Imagine a furniture ad. It's kind of hard to read, so I'll read it for you. We have a lighted showroom for better furniture visibility. We have a parking lot to leave your car in while you shop. Easy entrance doors to welcome you in. Our chairs have 4 legs. All of this is true, right? All of this is what your customers would expect, but it's not a message that's going to separate you from anybody else in the space. So in marketing, we have to think of, we need communication that identifies what we do clearly, and then we need a different strategy to kind of separate us from our competitors. So ordinary language is how you get found. So when we're thinking about marketing messages, using those words like durable, low maintenance, lifetime warranty, whatever it is, these help people know they're in the right place. And if we try to not be ordinary here, if we try to not be clear, we don't become premium just because we're avoiding sounding like everybody else. We become invisible because they're not sure what we are, what they're looking at, if we have what they need. So at this stage in marketing, clarity is so much better than being clever. When someone's scrolling or searching or driving by, doing a Google search, your job is not poetry. You have to show up that you are what they are looking for. A lot of times we see marketing messages like this. If I talk to my wife, I'm like, what were you shopping online for? And she's like, I'm just doing some browsing for some elevated open air experiences. No, nobody talks like this. They're looking for outdoor furniture, right? We have to show up clearly for what they're looking for, and then we can begin to differentiate ourselves to show why we're the preferred choice over a competitor in the same space. So I'm going to hand it over to Zach, and he's going to talk a little bit about how we be clear, when we need to be crystal clear in what we're offering, and the strategy for showing up locally to answer those questions, those solutions that people are actually searching for.
Thanks, Seth. Oh, we're going the wrong way. There we go. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about 2 of the things that I get asked the most in marketing department. How do I show up for local searches, so outdoor furniture near me, and then how can I leverage AI to help with those? So local SEO is what you need to optimize for to show up for those near me searches. It's what's going to help you show up in different areas in your location. So to accomplish that, you have to pair keywords with your location. So in this case, you want to be talking about LuxCraft furniture or outdoor furniture. And where people are physically searching for those things also very much matters. The image on the right here, it shows the same search term done across a spread of a map so we can kind of see directionally where we're showing up for some of those words, where we're improving, and then where some of the growth opportunities are. So in this case, we're clearly saying that there's a wall up north, right? So we could fight hard to try to go up that way. But there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of green and yellow down south. So there's more opportunity to easily grow down that way. So by leveraging the keywords and analyzing the data, we can figure out if we're showing up, where we're showing up, and then what other cities or opportunities there are to expand. Here's why local SEO matters. This is from a Google study that they did. So 46% of all Google searches have local search intent. So that means that if you're not showing up for those, people are likely not finding your business online. 76% of those people will end up are searching on their smartphone and will end up visiting one of those businesses that show up within 24 hours. And then of those people, 28% make a sale. So at the very top of the funnel, you need to be visible. We get people to show up, and that's going to be the more flowery and more descriptive marketing language that we use. And at the end, our ultimate goal is to make a sale. So in the customer funnel, there's basically 3 stages that we're trying to hit. There's the awareness stage. So that's somebody who knows that they have a problem. My outdoor furniture is falling apart. I need to find some furniture. They're going to search for furniture near me. So the important thing there is to know that we need to include location-based words, so you're showing up for the cities that you're around, and then just being very clear with the products that you're offering. The next is the consideration stage. So once they find you, if they click through, what's the marketing language that we're using there to really attract them? That's your opportunity to stand out. You've already captured them. Now's the opportunity to take it to the next step and really try to deliver on the thing that's making you unique over your competition. And then finally, at the decision phase, we hope that those 2 levels of marketing language will end up in a purchase. So some practical things that you can do, even if you don't have your own website, is claim your Google business profile and start to optimize for it. So what you'll see here is the screen of a search result for a local search. And this is more and more important because Google's elevating these types of experiences in their search results. This is what's called the key 3 search results positions on a map, and this is what's important for local search. The top result's a sponsored post, so that's somebody who's paying for positioning, and then the other 3 are the 3 local businesses that Google's recommending. So the ways that you can optimize for this is, 1, you claim your profile, and then you start to add some descriptive words within that profile that will help people find you for the thing that they're trying to solve. Next, you want to add media and engage with the audience within that profile. So adding new images, new videos, and showing people what the experience of showing up to your property is going to be like is really important. And then finally, if you have happy customers, really encouraging them to add reviews. Reviews are really important for ranking and will help people feel assured that they're going to have a positive experience when they show up at your location. On your actual website, there's also opportunities to optimize for local SEO. So having areas we serve pages, especially if you're a retail location, is incredibly important. So really thinking about not just cities you're in, but other ways that people might search for you. So are you in Amish country? Is the area that you're in called something else? Thinking about the words that people are going to search for and integrating that onto your on-page copy. Including other words like more specifics. If somebody's looking for high-end furniture and they're going to search for branded searches, so including things like LuxCraft on your site will help ensure that you're providing high-quality products. Once people are on your website, it's going to be important for them to know where exactly you're located and if it's within their service area. So embedding experiences like having a map on your site can be helpful directionally for that. And then finally, this is important from a search engine perspective, is ensuring that your name, address, and phone number are consistent everywhere on your site. So it's in the footer, on your contact page, but then also on all the other third-party sites that you're on. So on your Google business profile, your Yelp page. And this gets all the way down to the point where, do you have dashes or parentheses around your phone number? Do you have, are you calling it street spelled S-T or street S-T-R-E-E-T? So being consistent all the way down to that level will help elevate you. I hand it back over to Seth to talk about the next level.
Great. So people have found you. They know they're in the right place. They're evaluating you among other furniture stores. Why do they choose you? I want to give you just a couple of quick techniques or strategies that you can use to maybe improve your marketing messaging a little bit so you stand out a little bit more. I think when you improve your brand and your messaging and your marketing, as much as it helps people relate to you and understand what you do, it sets the tone internally and brings clarity to what you're doing. So you know that we are talking to this person, we agree that this is our message, we agree that this is our strength. In your whole internal team, it's on paper, you have clarity of maybe everyone knows in their mind who your customer is, but it's defined, we're all aligned and working together. So I think marketing is as important internally in becoming cohesive in your messaging as it is externally to your customer. So what we're saying is, to be understood, you have to be ordinary. You have to be selling outdoor furniture. You have to be selling a lifetime warranty. You have to be selling maintenance-free. All these words, you have to say these to be found. But to be chosen, you have to be exceptional. You have to figure out how you're going to talk to people in a way that's actually memorable, that's authentic to who you are, that represents your strengths as a business. How do you draw this out? How do you actually make marketing that just doesn't sound like everybody else, so people are stopping at the sign and never getting to the experience of what you can actually provide them as a furniture store, what LuxCraft can actually provide them as a product? So it's about getting away from some of these adjectives that don't really mean anything. When I say high quality, I could go find the cheapest plastic furniture online, and it's going to say high quality, maintenance free. That means something totally different to one person than it does to the next. So high quality, it kind of orients you where to look when you say it, but it doesn't really have much meaning to it. So we need to be specific, testable, experiential, and tied to a moment in someone's life. So what does more specific marketing look like? It's not complicated. Instead of saying designed for comfort, we say it's got a curved back for natural lumbar support, right? We're bringing it down to reality. It's not marketing language anymore. It's an actual benefit. It's an actual solution. Testable, instead of saying it's crafted for everyday living, we say spills don't soak in, they wipe away cleanly. Anybody can test this. Anyone can experience that. That's going to be something that's going to show up in a review. No one's going to review whether the furniture was crafted for everyday living, because that's not something we can test or really experience. We don't know what it means. But somebody might say, I bought this furniture, and man, boy, does it clean up easy because I actually experienced it. With LuxCraft, experiential and tied to a moment in someone's life, this is where we kind of feel words fall apart for LuxCraft. It's not the words that sell the furniture. It's really inviting somebody into the experience, and we do that at Castle Bear through the development of photos, in videos, that this really feels like what I want my backyard to feel like. For you, it might be in store. When someone tries to move a chair and they see how heavy it is and they say, oh wow. Right now we're down to the experience. We're tying that back to the real solution, which is I want to have a beautiful place to host my friends for dinner, or whatever that experience is. So we're moving away from that more fluffy marketing language down to real, concrete, experiential, inviting people in marketing. But becoming exceptional and knowing what your strengths are takes attention. You can't just go through the motions. You gotta be thoughtful and intentional in your marketing. You gotta do some digging. You gotta put it on paper in a clear way that everyone can agree to and get aligned behind. And knowing your customer, knowing they don't buy premium, they actually are buying pride. They don't buy durable, they buy relief. They don't buy timeless. They want a place that they can return to. These are the things that they're after. So when we use these words like premium, durable, and timeless, we're not maybe thinking at the level of, are we really speaking to this person's desire, the solution they're looking for? We're so used to saying the same things over and over again. We need to step back and really connect with people in what they're after. So how do you do that? 3 easy things that we use for almost any branding project that we're doing at Castle Bear. Persona, promise, and positioning when we're developing message. A buyer persona is keeping you aimed at the right person. The brand promise is, what is this experience like to work with us, to buy from us, to sit in the furniture? What is that going to feel like when you encounter our brand, wherever you encounter it, whether it's in-store, whether it's in a magazine, whether it's online? And then how are we different? How do we position ourselves against the competition? So these don't have to be complicated. It's more about getting everyone to agree and actually living up to this. If you went through these exercises and put them in a file and never looked at them again, it's no good to anybody. You actually have to commit. If you're going to make a promise, a brand promise, it has to feel like that to your customer. So that's what I mean. It starts to guide your internal efforts a little bit, because now you have a benchmark that you have made public, that you have said out loud, that you're trying to live up to. It can be very simple. This is the simplest customer persona I can think of for LuxCraft. LuxCraft customers are homeowners who treat their outdoor space like a real living area and want furniture that looks and feels high-end, right? Simple, but it's on paper. Now we're aligned. This can get much more complicated, much more elaborate. Whatever's helpful to you in defining your customer. We might want to break it down. So if we want to develop specific marketing campaigns around specific solutions or specific needs, here's one customer we have. This is the host who wants comfortable seating for their guests. That's their main pain point. That's their most desired solution. Or somebody that's really interested in creating an outdoor living area that's going to be used every day, where they sit and relax, and it's really about an extra level of comfort for them. Or the buyer who won't settle. I just want the best. I don't care what you have to say to me. I recognize this is the best product on the market, and everything I have is the best, and I want this. And when you start developing messaging campaigns or deciding where you want to advertise, how you want to advertise, it really helps to know who you're talking to. If you can picture in your head, I am talking to one person, and this is their problem, it brings clarity to your messaging and marketing, and it makes your marketing more effective overall than if you're just trying to say everything to everyone all at once. So one strategy, develop personas, put on paper who you're talking to, what their needs are. These can be much more complex than what we have here. Whatever is helpful for you to bringing that clarity to your business. Brand promise. This could be for any furniture store. We make outdoor living feel special with furniture built to higher standards. From selection through delivery, we make it easy to create an outdoor space you're proud of with guidance that inspires along the way. Right? Fairly generic, but now we have a framework. And now it becomes, how do we as a furniture store live up to this promise? What are the specific processes in our business? How do we train our employees? What is the customer experience like from the first moment they encounter us to when they have their furniture in their backyard that makes this promise feel true? So you can develop your own promise for your brand in your store, but the important thing is that you actually live up to it. And then a positioning statement. Your customers narrowed it down. I want to choose from these stores in our area. Who am I going to visit today? Who am I going to talk to? For homeowners making a big purchase, we're the showroom built around decision confidence, with clearer guidance and tighter follow-through than you'll get at most other furniture stores. Right? So now you're giving something that they can come in and say, okay, I feel best about going to you. Okay? And then how do you lean into this? Go through some examples of here, what this looks like in practice. Sorry, this is kind of small, so I'll try and read it the best I can. We got asked to do a brand for a septic company, right? Exciting. It's exciting stuff that we do every day at Castle Bear. So right off the bat, we want to be crystal clear. Septic grease waste. You need the gross stuff gone, we make it go away. Like, I can't be any simpler or more clear than that. But then we get into more of the brand promise messaging. Up there it says, where it says, the name you trust when things get messy. So what's it like to work with us? We use very small fonts that don't translate well in presentations. Try here. Let me zoom in here. Okay, so the brand promise. We've been doing the dirty work long enough to know what matters. Dependable, down-to-earth service you don't have to think twice about. Right? We're recognizing that people don't get excited about choosing a septic company. Right? They just want the job done and know they can trust the people that show up. And all of this is done because we are thinking about the messaging behind this beforehand, so it comes together in a very cohesive way when it's actually presented to the customer in marketing messages. And then under it's time to come clean. It turns out reliable septic service doesn't have to be a hassle, just affordable, on time, and done right. So positioning ourselves against the competition just a little bit there. Here's another one for a brand we just did. Some of you might know Urban Barnwood Furniture, a hardwood furniture brand. They have recently rebranded as Arista Wood. And so the concept behind Arista Wood, I'll just go through the same kind of exercise we did here with the personas and the brand promise. Okay, so here's the thought behind how we decided to help Arista Wood find their own unique voice and stand out against every other hardwood furniture manufacturer that's out there. Arista comes from the Greek for the best or most excellent, used to describe what stands apart, endures, and holds lasting value. It's not one thing that sets Arista Wood apart, it's the small things done well that make the difference. Design, material, and method, each step adds to the whole, making refined wood furniture feel natural. It's all brought to light with a flawless finish where the care behind every decision shines through. Okay, that's kind of the background, that's kind of the internal description of the brand, and then it can show up, beauty that stands apart is the message that we want consumers to leave with. Mast attachments, this is a business just down the road. Here we're leading with a positioning statement. This is what a positioning statement looks like when it shows up in your marketing. Heavy-duty attachments built to work harder. Now we're going to back that up with specific descriptions of, we use half-inch steel when others use 3/8 inch. When we get deeper into that marketing funnel, we're going to back this up with actual practical real-world examples of what that looks like. Here's one, build your dream log home. There's nothing special about that marketing message, but it's exactly what people are looking to do when they come to this website. So right up front, we're telling them you're in the right spot. This is what you're looking for, where you want to be. Then right under that, a log home package that delivers more. Now we're getting into positioning. We're clear on what separates Hostetler log homes from everybody else. And then just one more. We work with the Berry Center. If anybody knows the author Wendell Berry in Kentucky, they have a beef business. And so what's different about their beef than everybody else? Well, the messaging here is flavor you can feel good about. So we have pasture-raised Kentucky beef, and then the positioning statement is, why is this beef different than anybody else? Well, the story behind it is actually you can feel very good that this comes from family farmers, all set up to support family farmers in Kentucky, and we are different than anybody else you can buy beef from. So differentiation starts with clarity. Once you have clarity, you can be found. And then when you're intentional about what makes you unique, when you do the work, when you think through what makes you different, you can get a brand that people recognize and remember. Not only that, it's going to help you in your marketing efforts. It's going to make everything more efficient. It's going to bring clarity to where you're advertising, who you're talking to. And the other cool thing now is once you have this information, you have a great friend. If any of you have started using AI to train AI with all this content you develop about yourself, and now AI is going to be able to produce marketing support for you in a way that's very tailored to your business, feels very natural, and can make you much more efficient. So I'll have Zach talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks. Perfect. So you're probably a lot like me. You heard what Seth said, and you're like, I'm not Robert Frost. I don't know how to write those words. So that's where AI can really come in and be a great tool for ideation and really help you leverage some of these messaging. So one way that you could potentially use it on your website is to help it write unique product descriptions for your website. So you could take the short blurb, you could take the information about the product, you can tell it a little bit about the audience that you're trying to connect with, and say, hey, write me a 10-word positioning statement and see what it comes up with, and add a little bit of your own flair in there, but as a tool, it's going to be a great place to get started. It's also a great tool to help search your website for opportunities to optimize for local content. So you can give it your website address, tell it to say, hey, I'm trying to reach more customers in this area that I see an opportunity for. Where should I be entering these keywords, and how can I reposition myself to connect with that new audience? You can also use it in your Facebook posts. Facebook's a great social media platform to connect with local audiences. So you can use it to help write some of those descriptions or give you ideas of what sort of media might connect better with the audience you're trying to connect there. And then finally, writing email headlines is a very great one too. So if you're somebody that has an email marketing list or you reach out with somebody, the very first barrier to entry to getting somebody to reach your website from a marketing email is getting them to actually open your email. So you can leverage AI to give you ideas to write a catchy headline that somebody's going to actually want to click on. So with all that being said, there's just a few points that I'll just reiterate of things that you could potentially do on your website to try to reach local audience and leverage AI. So first of all, definitely claim your Google business profile and get that optimized. You want to increase the amount of local keywords and other types of keywords for the products you're trying to sell, both on that business profile and on your website. You can keep things fresh, so the more you're optimizing for new experiences, adding new photos, videos, and engaging with content on your business profile, the more you'll be rewarded. Having the consistent information, your name, address, and phone. You could even take it a step further and provide up-to-date hours, especially around holidays. Google loves it when you do that. Anytime you're feeding in more information to them, you tend to be rewarded. And then when you're stuck for ideas or you have an idea and you don't quite know how to execute it, you can leverage AI to help you with some of those strategies and ways that you could practically implement onto your website. Seth and I will be around if anybody else has any questions and would like to pick our brain about anything. I'll be back at the booth back there and would love to talk to you about any of your ideas or objectives you're trying to accomplish, and maybe I can help lead you on the right path. Thank you all for your time.
This afternoon, we have got a couple more sessions with Clay, so I will invite him up here for his next session. Welcome, Clay.
All right, the post-lunch session. This is always a little touch and go, right? Because everybody is, I don't know if you're a napper. Some of you are a 20-minute nap kind of person. If that's you, there's a lot of space here. There's a lot of wonderful furniture. Do what you need to do. I will also say, if you need to stand up, if you need to, sway back and forth, if you need to pace, whatever you need to do, go for it. One of the things I've learned about having 5 kids is they don't ever listen to anything I have to say. So it will not bother me one bit if you get up and move around, do whatever you need to do. All right, let's do a quick, just a heat check. What was one takeaway you had from this morning? Anybody have one that would be worth sharing? Yeah, Mike.
I think just the importance of embracing the struggle, and without struggle, you can't be resilient.
Great. Thanks for that. That's well said. Just learning to embrace it, and then really seeing that without it, you can't be all that you would want to be. Anybody else? Big takeaway? How about the barbecue store? My favorite people here, because they're big green egg people from coming to Atlanta, Georgia to the Egg Fest. Is that what it's called? Sam, you got something? You got a takeaway from this morning?
Yeah, I've always learned things. Yeah, basically just facing struggles head on and rebounding, regaining. Don't leave it get you down. Keep moving forward.
Great. I had a couple of you that said, hey, I appreciate how this affects our personal life and our work life as well. That's great for me to hear. But I deeply believe it, that there's just so much intersection between what we do on a day-to-day basis at home and at work, and I think it helps us become people of integrity, right? What is integrity is being whole. It's not being one thing one day and another thing another, or one thing at work and another thing at home. So thank you for that, Sam. One more. Anybody else? Big takeaway from this morning, something that you're going to take with you? Yeah, in the back. Tell us your name.
Bill Clinky. I think life's always going to throw issues at you. It's just how you respond and how you react to them. So that's the biggest thing I got from this morning.
Thanks, Bill. Bill, where are you from? Coldwater, Ohio. Never been there, but would love to. So, God's country. That's awesome. All right, well, let me tell you what we're talking about this afternoon. This afternoon, we're going to switch gears just a bit, and then I'm going to tie it back together at the end. But we're going to talk about mind traps. We're going to talk about the way we show up, what's happening in our head that causes us or allows us to show up in the way that we do. Have you ever been around somebody that you can't figure out why they are the way they are? Have you ever had an employee at work that you can't figure out why he is or why she is the way she is? And sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's not, right? And so a lot of times we just go, oh, that person's just crazy, or that person's out to lunch, or that person's just fantastic, whatever it may be. We put these quick labels on it. I think a lot of times what it actually is, though, is that person has a mindset. They have some kind of mindset that allows them to show up the way that they show up. And I know you know this. This is just going to be a reminder to you, but one of the most important things about your workplace is the culture that you are creating, right? And you don't just work in a culture, you are creating a culture. You are constantly creating a culture. Every time you walk into a room, it's affecting the culture. It's changing the culture. And every single day you're creating one, right? And you've had plenty of jobs. Maybe some of you have only worked in one place, but I would imagine most of you have had different jobs. How do you explain that? How do you explain how you work at one place and you just love it? I don't know why it is the way it is, but it's just great. People are nice to each other. They care deeply about their work. There's no gossip. There's no toxicity. People just enjoy themselves, and they're doing good work, and for the most part, it's working. And then you work in other places where you go, man, they just cannot retain people. Honestly, it negatively affects your own health to work there. What's the difference between the two? Oftentimes, the difference is the culture. It's the culture that has been allowed, the culture that has been perpetuated, the culture that has been created. But here's the thing I want to talk about in this session is that you are not a victim to the culture. You are constantly helping to create the culture. And so how you show up to that culture is most affected by what's going on in your head, what's going on in your mind, right? What we repeatedly think shapes our mindset, which shapes our feelings. You ever gotten that blue screen of death on the computer, right? When the operating system just shuts down, it goes, nah, we don't want to do that anymore. Or what's worse is when it just locks up and you get the spinning wheel of death, right? I think the operating system is a good metaphor to our mindset, to what's happening in our head. Our mindset, what's happening in our mind, it is it's similar to an operating system that's operating this physical body, right? This was probably during COVID. It's probably during 2020. I was having a lot of meetings on Zoom, Teams, video calls, whatever they may be. And I'll never forget, I'm sitting in this little office that we had made up, and I get a text from my wife at about 10 a.m. I had already been in a couple hours of meetings. I had a couple hours left. I was going to take a break for lunch, go downstairs, have lunch, and then get back to work. And about 10 a.m., I get a text from her that said, "You let Tater Tot roam in the house, didn't you?" Now, that might be a confusing text to you. I will translate it. We had a dog named Tater Tot. And in the mornings, I wake up fairly early, and not as early as some of you got up to get here, but I wake up pretty early, and I'll go crack the front door open, and I'll let Tater Tot go outside and do his business, because I don't like when anybody rushes anyone when they're trying to do their business, you know? So I'm like, hey, go out there, explore the space, take your time, do what you need to do. When you're ready, come back inside. But he wasn't exactly potty trained at this point in his life. He was only about a year old, and he was still figuring things out. And so somehow, in some way, I hear him coming from downstairs, where we got a couple bedrooms upstairs where a couple of our kids sleep, and he runs. I thought he was outside, and all of a sudden, he's running from upstairs down the stairs. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Did he go decide I would like to take care of my business upstairs as opposed to outside? But you know, I was busy, had to get to work. I made coffee for myself, but I also made coffee for the love of my life, my wife. So I was doing some wonderful things for her. So when I got that text accusing me of letting him roam throughout our house, I was very put off by that. And so I said, I responded back and I said, well, there was a moment when he got out of my sight, but I was up early trying to help out. In parentheses, in between the lines, I'm going, how about a little appreciation, right? And she responds back to me and says, he pooped in Cooper's bedroom. Cooper's our youngest, one of our younger kids. And, you know, when she said that, it was almost as if she's blaming me for doing that. And I did not do that. The dog did that, right? And I have the next 2 hours. You ever have one of those moments where you're just ruminating on something? And you're making up all these stories, and you're telling yourself stuff. I mean, I was so charged up. When I came downstairs to confront this situation, I was hot. I was like, who do you think you are? And how about a little gratitude coming my way? I'm slaving through these meetings that I don't really even want to be in. And so he pooped a little bit in somebody's room. That's not anybody's fault. What's the deal, right? She, at one point, she tells me, she said, you can take all that energy back to your office, because she was not having it, which I appreciate. I married a very strong woman. And so I stopped, and I said, let me get a little more context. And so I thought, let me suspend my judgment. Let me try to be curious. Let me try to practice what I would preach. And so I asked a question. I said, how did you find the poop? And she said, I was going to get him a change of clothes out of his dresser, and I stepped in it. Yeah. That little piece of information, that changed everything, right? I'm like, if that's ever happened to you, all bets are off. I mean, you can do whatever you need to do, say whatever you need to say, be as mad as you need to be, because that's the worst, right? You know, I mean, I was even like between the toes, you know? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, listen, I am so sorry. That was on me, my fault. But that's an example of that mindset that we get locked up in, right? Telling yourself a story, thinking a certain way, and it becomes this pattern. It becomes this way of being, honestly, because our thoughts inform the way we feel, right? What we repeatedly think shapes our mindset, which shapes our feelings. And so what happens all of us have been this way, right? All of us have experienced this. When there is some particular mindset that has actually become a mind trap. There are certain mindsets that will lock you up. They will keep you from being who you want to be. They will keep you from experiencing the joy of relationships. They will keep you from doing great work. But the question that we got to answer today is, how do you know when a mindset has become a mind trap? How do you know when you're locked up in one? I think this is something we all got to get more familiar with, right? Because how you think matters so deeply. It affects everything. So how do you know? I'm going to give you 3 over the next. We're going to do one session here now. I'm going to give you 1. We're going to do some discussion. I'm going to give you 2 more in just a bit. But over the course of the next little bit, I'm going to give you 3 mind traps. 3 of the, I've tried to read as much as I can read, as much psychology, as much philosophy about this concept of what are the most common mind traps that leaders experience that keep us from becoming all that we want to be, keep us from becoming the kind of leader that we want to be. We all know what it's like to be trapped physically, right? That's a terrible place to be. When you feel confined, you feel stuck. When you're trapped mentally, though, the danger is you can be stuck and not even know it. And so the chances are somebody sitting here is stuck in a mindset that I believe there is power. I believe there's hope. I believe there's actually opportunity. This is always wild to me in an environment like this. I hope you know this. Some of you came here because you're friends with LuxCraft, because they care about you, because you care about them, because you wanted to see some of their new products, you wanted to see some old friends. And maybe you didn't expect that, hey, we're going to talk about some, fairly important concepts that I believe have the potential to change your life. I genuinely mean that. That's not hyperbole. But your whole life could change, sitting in the seat that you're sitting in. Now, everything else around you could stay the same, right? I'm not saying everything around you is going to get better, because the truth of life is that your circumstances could change, but that doesn't mean that you're going to change. But the flip side, it has greater potential. When you actually change, it has a better opportunity to change your circumstances. Now, there's no promise that it will, but your whole life could change sitting in the seat that you're sitting in today. You could think of something, you could be reminded of something, you could come to some conclusion, change a habit, change a behavior, and it could change your whole life. there's a chance that any one of us are stuck in a mindset that we don't even realize. And the first step for all of us would be awareness, right? How do I become aware of it? So I'm going to give you 3 of these. And maybe one of them you relate to more deeply than the other, but I think all 3 of them, if you can start to train yourself to see them, it'll keep you from stepping in it down the road as well, right? Which is important for all of us. Here's the wild thing about our minds, is that the way these mindsets work is that the more you live in them, the more ingrained they become in your life. So this is like anything to do with health. It's always better to catch it early, right? It's always, the quicker we can catch it, the better off we can be, because our mindset has this way of carving this little pathway throughout our brain. Just another reason why this is so important. I don't have the power, I don't have the ability to tell you what to think. Every one of you is facing a different situation. You've got different family dynamics, different work dynamics. But what I hope will happen is I hope that this will give you some off-ramps, some guidelines, some maybe a new pattern on how to think. Not necessarily what to think, but on how to think, which I think is even more important than what to think. All right, the first one is this. The first one is the victim trap. Out of the 3, this is the one that I most commonly fall into. I try to identify it. I try to see it. I try to sniff it out when it comes, try to get out of it, but it's very prevalent, right? What is the victim trap? Here's just an explanation. I think it's one of the most expensive beliefs in leadership. It says this. It says, this would be better if they would change. If you've ever said that, if you've ever thought that, well, why can't we sell to that customer? Why can't we deal with that partner? Why can't we handle this problem? Well, we can't because they won't change. That is an expensive belief for any company, for any business, right? It's the belief, this belief, it quietly kills ownership, it quietly kills creativity, and it certainly kills culture. One of the most important things for you as a leader is to, how do I pass along ownership? How do I make every employee feel like an owner? How do I make everybody feel like, yeah, they are a part of this business? We have all heard that plenty of times, right? That if you want to be a great employee, you got to think like an owner. I've always found that really hard to do because I'm like, well, I'm not one. So how am I going to think like one? I've never been an owner, so I don't know what that would feel like. Seems like it's got a lot of great things about it, right? A lot of problems as well. But it's hard to get people to think like owners. The victim mindset, if you have people that are caught up in the victim mindset, if you yourself get caught up in the victim mindset, there's no way to think like an owner. And it certainly does get in the way of creativity and gets in the way of our culture. Very simply put, a victim mindset or a victim mentality, it's just blaming everyone else for what happens in my world, right? I can't because they did. They'll never understand because they're not me. They don't get my problem. It's a mindset that we leverage to try to make other people feel sorry for us, right? It's a mindset that we leverage to try to abdicate responsibility. I don't have to be responsible if it's someone else's fault, right? And we all know, here's maybe another way of explaining it. We all know that our thoughts should not drive our car, but we also should not kick our thoughts out of the car. But the victim mindset, our thoughts are in the passenger seat of life. This is a mindset that says, I have no control, I have no agency. It's sitting in the passenger seat of your own life, critiquing the route, but never touching the steering wheel. This is what people with the victim mindset do, right? They sit over on the side. They have the potential to drive, but they go, no, I'm just going to sit over here and let somebody else drive. And it really is giving away agency, giving away ownership. Thinking like a passenger instead of thinking like a driver. Now, if we could create more ownership in our business, wouldn't we want to do that? Of course, right? But again, that's not easy to do. Ownership, it doesn't mean that everything is your fault. But it does mean that something is your responsibility. Anytime I find myself abdicating responsibility or saying, well, there's no way I can own this situation, I can't because they won't. That's me abdicating, right? And ownership says, yeah, I can't own everything, but there is something that is my responsibility. And so in every situation, it's always helpful to put things in three buckets. What I can control, which what would go in that bucket? What do you always have control over? Yourself, right? Your response. I'll never forget when one of our kids was in preschool. He was in the preschool that he was in was run by the church that I was working for. And so I had an opportunity to influence it. And he comes home one day, and instead of just asking him, how was school today? I was trying to mix up the questions because 4-year-old boys, they're most likely going to give you the response that just goes, how was your day? Fine, good. One or two, one of those two. You're like 90% of an option if you go fine or good, right? And so in this case, I go, hey, what did you learn at school today? Looks over at me. He was like playing with his trucks on the floor or something. Looks over at me and he goes, I am in charge of me. And I was like, where are you getting this garbage? Like, who is teaching you this? I mean, that really initially it felt like it was interrupting my theology. I'm like, you are in charge of you? Who's telling you this? My wife quickly reminds me, the preschool that he attends at the church that you work for, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, right, that one. What was this teacher trying to teach him? What was she trying to teach him by saying that you are in charge of you? He controls his response, right? Little Johnny throws a truck at him. What's going to keep our son from throwing a truck right back at him? The teacher can't. He's got to decide that I am in charge of my own life, right? That's personal agency. Now, this is why this is so important, is because the victim wants to go, well, I did it because they did it. It's their fault, right? I can abdicate responsibility. But no, there are three buckets. There's the buckets of, here's everything I control. There's always a bucket of, here's what I don't control, but I have the opportunity to influence. That's a really important bucket at work. But then there's the bucket of, I have zero control over this, right? And so you got three options. You got to decide, where is this situation? And we should spend the majority of our energy focused on what it is that I control or what it is that I have the opportunity to influence. That's really what ownership is I can't own everything, but there is something that I am responsible for, and I've got to decide, can I own that? So if you were going to be, let's say you, like a doctor, let's say you diagnosed the problem. You ever had one of those situations where you'd kind of been smelling something all day, and you're like, something stinks, like I can't figure out what it is, and then you realize, oh no, it's me, right? If you've ever had one of those situations, that's kind of the way this goes. Can you identify it? Can you spot it? Can you sniff it out? Can you go, there it is, the victim mindset. I'm not saying can you see it in others. No, this is that moment where we got to go, no. We're going to figure out if I can get the person in the mirror. Am I able to see it in myself? Seeing it in other people it's amazing how it's actually easier to identify it in someone else than it is to identify it in ourselves, right? But the best kind of leaders, the healthiest people, they are able to identify, when am I feeling like, thinking like a victim? Now, blame is going to be one of your best friends with the victim mindset. Blame is one of the most convenient ways that we smuggle our victim mindset into the future, right? You ever tried to smuggle something into somewhere? You tried to smuggle some candy into the movie theater, right? Tried to sneak it past the attendant there. The victim mindset is actually how we blame is how we smuggle the victim mindset into the future. So one of the quickest things you can look for is blame. Anytime you hear blame, anytime you sense blame, you go, there it is, that's the victim mindset. Let me give you an example of this. About a year ago, I was speaking to the University of Texas Medical School faculty, and I had been talking about this concept of rejecting passivity, which I use in that book, Trent, that you have, Leading When You're Not in Charge. And I get done with the talk, and I sit down, and I ask them, hey, how'd this go? And the guy said, it made me furious. I said, tell me more. And he said, our administration is so passive. I'm like, okay, what do you mean? And he said, well, I've been a professor here for 30 years, and I've told them they need a mentor program, and they just won't do it. And he said, I've written it on feedback forms. I've told it to them in person, and they just aren't doing it. And as soon as he started, who is he blaming? He's blaming the administration, right? I go, oh, there it is. Like, that's a signpost. There's a victim mindset in there, right? What could he have gone and done? What could he have taken responsibility for? Holding them accountable, maybe, but that's tricky. What's that? He could have said, I'm going to go mentor. Do you have to have a program to go mentor? No. You just take the next person who starts at work and you say, hey, welcome. I've worked here for 30 years. I've stepped in some potholes, made a mess of some situations, and I'd like to take you to lunch. We'll go to Chipotle. We'll get crazy. We'll splurge for guacamole. Are you interested? And he may go, yeah, sure, I'd love to do that, right? And the next thing you know, Dottie down the hall, she hears about it, and she goes, what gave you the idea to do that? What gave you the right to do that? And he said, I just felt like it was my responsibility to take what I know and pass it on to somebody else. And then she might do the same thing as well, right? She might start, well, I'm going to take the next person that starts here. Now you got two people mentoring. Jesus said, where two or more are gathered, there you have a mentor program. Have you ever heard that? That's not a quote from Jesus. You got to be careful. Watch out for ChatGPT. It'll mess you up, all right? But listen, that's an example of how easy. It was so easy for me to see his victim mindset. It's so much harder to see my own. And the same will be true for you. Maybe you've already thought of people on your team or thought of an employee that works for you who has this victim mindset, this mindset that's become a mind trap. That's good. You can identify it in someone else. But the key is, I'm telling you, this is where I struggle the most is, yeah, but am I able to see it in myself? Am I able to identify my own victim thoughts? You got to become familiar with them. What do they sound like? What do they feel like? Again, anytime you sense blame, anytime you feel like, well, I can't because of fill in the blank, it's always a sign that, hey, there's potentially a victim mindset. Here's another thing you got to pay attention to. We got to be aware of the false benefits of your victim thoughts. Have you ever noticed this? Have you been around someone? Again, let's take other people. It's always easier to talk about other people than it is to talk about ourselves. Have you ever noticed how people that have the victim mindset, they are often entertaining, right? What do they always have? What's that? Stories. They always have drama, right? Oh my, how's your day? Oh my goodness, listen to this. You won't believe it. So-and-so, and then so-and-so, and so I couldn't, and they just did, and I'm like, what am I going to do about it? It's their fault, not mine, right? People with I have noticed this in myself. I love a good story, and oftentimes I'll leverage the victim mindset to feel more interesting, to garner people's sympathy, right? And there's something, it's a little bit like sugar, right? Sugar's one of those things that tastes good, gives you a little rush, but eventually leads to a lot of unhealthy things. This is the victim mindset's the same way. It kind of feels good at first to be like, see, all these people are recognizing that I've got a problem, that I've got a situation, and it's not my fault. And listen to this story, and let me tell you about them, and let me tell you about what they did and what they won't do, right? It's so easy to make ourselves feel better with it that there are some false benefits that keep us locked up in the victim mindset. Are you able to identify those, and then are you able to be aware of these false benefits? All right, and then thirdly, we got to replace them with something more meaningful. Again, this is where my faith comes into play. This is Romans 12, the first couple of verses of Romans 12, where we are to have a renewed mind, right? It's about, you can't just say stop thinking about that. You've got to replace it with something better. This is replacement therapy. This is replacement psychology. This is what a therapist would help us do, is to go, well, let's talk about what you could think about instead of that, right? We've got to be willing to come up with some solutions of what could we replace them with. Responsibility is always good. What am I? What can I do? What am I responsible for? One of my favorite research studies that they've ever done, it's a longitudinal study. It was over many, many years that they did with foster kids. And they studied all these foster kids, and they figured out the ones that went on to have a successful life. They were good for society. They were ended up becoming parents, helping out with other people, caring for next generation, good members of society, paid their taxes. What happened? What was the difference? They all had a difficult situation because their family of origin was in such a position where they weren't able to stay in it, and so they were fostered into another home, and some were fostered multiple times, but some of them ended up doing really well, and so they tried to figure out what's the difference? What's the difference? And they came up with this phrase, the locus of control. Have you ever heard the locus of control? The locus of control is deciding that I have agency. There is something I can do. There is always a move I can make, that I'm not a victim to life, right? Instead of life happening to me, I'm happening to life. And what they found was that the unique trait in the ones that were able to make it, they had this locus of control. They were able to adopt this or learn it or develop it or build it, or maybe they just innately had it. They had that locus of control. The locus of control is always a great thought to replace, right? Okay, I can't do that. Well, then what can I do? Okay, the supplier says that. Well, what can we do? The customer says no. Well, what can we do, right? It's a yes and. It's a, okay, no is not just no, but no is not now. What are the moves I can make? What are the steps that I can take? Replacing those victim mindset thoughts with something more meaningful and more beneficial. And then, one other thing about this. Another biblical reference in 2 Corinthians 10, the Apostle Paul teaches us to take our thoughts captive, right? He says, before we even replace them, we've got to take the negative ones captive. We've got to, Liam Neeson from Taken. We got to do that with our thoughts. You ever seen that movie where somebody kidnaps his daughter and he leaves this voicemail on the perpetrator's phone and says, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you want, but I have a particular set of skills, a set of skills that make me a nightmare for someone like you. If you return my daughter, we'll be done. But if you do not, I will hunt you down, I will find you, and I will kill you. This is what he says on the voicemail. Incredible scene. If you've never seen it, don't go watch it because it'll give you nightmares. But nonetheless, fascinating. Whenever I watch that scene, I always think about the Apostle Paul saying, take those thoughts captive. Because I think that's what he's saying is, don't welcome them in and go, oh, victim, anger, resentment, bitterness. We didn't know you were going to be here tonight, but let me see if I can go find a table of 4, and we'll let you stay as long as you want. No, he says, no. Treat them with vigilance, right? Take them captive and then replace them with something that has that locus of control, something that has agency, something that is a reminder of what it is you can do, not just what you can't do. And then lastly, I would encourage you to shift your label from victim to survivor. Some of you have been through some really rough stuff. And if you were to tell your story, we would go, first of all, I'm so sorry. Secondly, I can understand why you feel like a victim. No one should have to go through that. Whether it was a situation with an employer, something from your family of origin, something from childhood, some broken relationship, somebody betrayed you, somebody double-crossed you, somebody hung you out to dry, somebody stole money from you. There's awful things that have happened, and there's certainly some that here right now that would have your own story to tell. What I have found is that even still, even for people that have been through the worst of the worst, they do not think of themselves as victims. And this subtle shift of going, you know what, I'm not a victim, I'm actually a survivor. There's something more powerful and more positive about that. To go, not only, I wasn't a victim. I didn't do it. It wasn't my fault. Somebody did it to me. But I've been able to survive it, and I've been able to use it, and I've been able to build resilience through it. I think that simple, subtle shift is a powerful shift, and I would just encourage anybody who's been through something really hard, try it on and see if you can't figure out how to wear that label instead of wearing the victim label. All right, last thing. I want to give you these 3 questions. And I just want to encourage you, again, y'all did such an incredible job in the first part of just being open, honest, having conversation about this. We're going to do this for about 10 or 15 minutes. I know for some of you, maybe this is uncomfortable. This is just not what you're used to. But I'm telling you, it's a little bit like a muscle. The more you talk about it, the better you get at it, right? And again, in some cases, you're not going to see some of these people again. In some cases, you work with them, and maybe this is the first time you've ever been open and honest with them, right? But either way, I would take advantage of it. Here are the 3 questions. Number 1, Where have I been blaming instead of leading? Simple question. Where have I been blaming instead of leading? Second question, when I'm at my best, what emotional tone do I bring into the room? What about when I'm at my worst? Again, our mindset affects the way we feel. When I'm at my best and I show up in the room, what do I do well? What's the positive benefit? And then would you be willing to share the flip side? You know, when I'm not in the best mindset, what happens and how do I show up? And then last thing, if my team copied my mindset, what would change about our culture for good or for bad? If everybody on my team copied the mindset that I have, what would change? What would change for good? And then what would the things that we'd go, yeah, maybe not so good, right? Would you be willing to talk about those? Any thoughts, any questions, any feedback? I'll be mingling around. Would love to hear from you if so, but take 10 minutes or so. Ryan will come up and move us along, and then we'll do the second and the third mindset after this. Well done. Well done. Congrats. Congrats. All right, let's jump into the second mind trap. It's the trap of negativity. The trap of negativity, right? This is amazing to me how life works, but I've noticed this, that oftentimes married couples, you end up having somebody who's really positive and then somebody who's not negative, but what would we say? Practical, yeah. I'll give you a chance in just a second to answer again. But, you know, a lot of times you have, you got the person that this is the way they think about Thanksgiving dinner. You know, this is the way they think about having a big family meal. But this is the reality of what ends up happening, right? The person that gets stuck in the trap of negativity, they oftentimes, yeah, practical is a good word for it. Or another way I think about it is there's positive people and then there are realists. Yeah, they're realistic people, right? So maybe this might be you. This might be something that you see. You go, I'm not being negative. I'm just being realistic. This is the way you think the meal's going to go. The truth is, if we have those people over, this is what's going to end up happening, right? Anybody else? You just naturally expect the bad news before you expect the good news. You've got a doctor's visit, and you immediately think, you're just trying to read the face of the doctor, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm about to die. Something's wrong, right? Or do you ever have this situation where your boss sends you a text at 2 p.m., says, hey, before you leave today, you mind dropping by my office? And you immediately think, oh, today's the last day. I'm getting fired. I guess it's over, right? Some of you are wired that way, but I have found that positivity really can be a character quality even more than a personality trait. But it's so easy for us to get caught up in the trap of negativity. Why? Why is it so easy for us to get caught up in the trap of negativity? What about our world causes us to get caught up in this trap more often? Anybody have a thought? The news. I think we're wired. I do think there's something in the psychology of the way we're made up as humans. Not only are we wired to look for threats, I would absolutely agree with that, but I think we do live in a world where negativity bonds with other negativity, right? Maybe you got some friends that you know, oh, I can call them and they'll immediately get on my side of this thing. I've got two sisters. I'm in the middle. I've got an older sister and a younger sister. And I know whatever mood I'm in, I know which sister to call. If I want to complain about my parents, I call one of them. If I want somebody who's going to help me talk me out of the way I'm feeling, I'll call the other one. But we all know people like that, right? That are just wired certain ways that oftentimes they just live more consistently in that trap. And what I've found is that, yeah, we're looking for threats, but also we are meant to be in the pack. That we are meant to be connected to other humans. And so for you to break away from negativity, oftentimes there's like an alarm that goes off in your head that goes, oh no, I'm out here on my own. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. So I think there's a lot of reasons why we get caught up in this trap. But I'm telling you, if you want to be a positive force for good wherever you are, you've got to learn how to identify the trap of negativity because it wants to get in you. It wants to lead the day. It wants to take over your brain. It wants to become your mindset. And whether you're a business owner, whether you're an employee, whether you're trying to grow as a leader, whether you're getting married, trying to have a healthy marriage, trying to be a great parent, trying to be a good friend, living in that trap of negativity, it's dangerous. It will hold you back. And there are as many negative benefits to the trap of negativity as there are on the flip side. There's so many positive benefits of not living in it, right? The people in our world that have been able to really make change, they're the people that are able to see opportunity. They're the people that are able to go, I know it's going to be challenging, I know it's going to be hard, but here's our opportunity. I don't know if any of you are any college football fans in here? A few? Well, only since we're in Ohio, I'll talk about not the Indiana team that just won the national championship, but let's think back to 15 months ago when Ohio State in 2024, what happened at the end of their season? Does anybody remember? Yeah, who'd they lose to? Yeah, that team up north, right? They lost a really crucial game. And I remember watching that game on TV. I'm not an Ohio State fan. I'm not a fan of the team up north. I'm a fan of neither of those teams, but I was watching it like plenty of people were. And Ryan Day, the coach at Ohio State, he was despondent. It was crazy to watch him after that game. I mean, he had no emotion. This is when there were brawls in the middle of the field over where they were planting the flag, all of that stuff. Well, I remember, all the talk on talk radio around that time was not if he was going to get fired. It was when he was going to get fired. They just knew, he's done. And what's interesting is something happened in that locker room. I obviously wasn't there, so I don't know. But somebody in that locker room was a voice for good. Somebody in that locker room had the ability to not let the negativity wear them down, to turn off the noises from the outside, and they were able to look at the people in there and say, hey, it's not over, there's still more to play for, and we've still got work to do. And then they go on to win the national championship. It was really a remarkable turnaround. And to me, somewhere in there, I would love to know the intricacies of it because somebody fought the negativity trap and decided I'm not going to live in that, but instead I'm going to choose the alternative. Now, I don't think the alternative to negativity is just I don't think the problem, it's not just what it does to us, but it is what it keeps us from. Negativity feels like protection. Sometimes maybe you're negative because you think I've been let down before. I've seen this happen before. What is that line? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? I'm not going to let this happen again. And so sometimes negativity feels like me protecting myself, right? Some of you live with that feeling of, I don't have anything to worry about right now, but I'm kind of worried because I don't have anything to worry about, right? At some point, the other shoe's going to drop, and I got to be ready for it. Sometimes negativity does feel like protection, but the danger is it really does limit our growth. It limits our ability to be open to other options and to grow. And so being able to identify it, being able to fight it is really important. What's interesting about negativity is I don't know if the antidote for negativity is just positivity. I think there might be another little intricacy. Again, this is where my pastor background comes in, but if you've ever read the little letter that the Apostle Paul wrote called Philippians, that letter is a really interesting letter because does anybody remember where he was when he wrote it? For some of you like real Bible nerds, where was he? He was in prison when he wrote it, right? And yet over and over again, he uses this one particular word more than any other word that he uses. He uses the word joy. Now, when you think of the word prison, where does the word joy fall on the list of other words that you also think of, right? Probably not toward the top. You don't typically associate locked up in a Roman prison with, that sounds like a good time. That sounds like real joy, right? But somehow, he was resetting his mind. He was changing his mindset. He was not letting the circumstances determine the trap that was going to happen in his head. I think joy is actually the antidote. I think it's the antidote for negativity. I think learning how to find joy, learning how to train our brain to see joy, and then building that muscle that actually can grow the more we see it. Joy is not just, I like this phrase, it's not just optimism. Joy is trained perspective. You know this, right? That any of you that have ever kept a gratitude journal, or if you've ever done one of those simple practices of waking up every morning and before your 10 toes even hit the ground, you make yourself come up with a couple things you're grateful for. Or maybe you end the day going, what happened today that I'm grateful for? That is a way we build up that muscle of joy. And what ends up happening, you know this, what happens the more you train your mind to see those moments of joy, to see those opportunities for gratitude, what happens the next day? What happens? You start seeing them more often, right? And then you start training yourself to see them, and you're like, man, I don't know how long this thing has been here. When I was 16, we had this old family car that got passed down to me. It was like a 1988 Volvo 240 DL. It was white. I called her the White Lightning. I mean, she was a beast. I mean, you did not want to get in her way. And I was not real excited about that car as a 16-year-old. But the one thing that I held on to is I'm like, well, at least it's unique. I didn't know anybody else who drove a Volvo until the first day I drove it. And then I'm driving it to school, pull up at the first traffic light, and I look over next to me, and what do I see? Another Volvo. I'm like, well, shoot, I didn't even know. Okay, there's two in this little town. Wow, that's news to me. Pull up to the next light. I see another one. I pass one going this way. I see another one. I pull into the parking lot at school, and there's like 6 other ones in there. I'm like, where did all these come from? Did they all just show up that day? No. What happened? Started noticing them. I started looking for them, right? And joy, gratitude, they work in the same way. Those things are there. Those moments are there, but it requires us training our mind to see them. And again, it's like a muscle. The more you do it, it's not that the more they start showing up, but you start training your mind to see them, and you start recognizing them more, and it becomes the word you used, ma'am, right here, what's her name? Mina. Mina said it's automatic, right? It is. It starts to become second nature. And not only do you start seeing them more often, but it actually works up this muscle. You build this muscle, the muscle of joy. It's not just optimism. It's trained perspective. It's training your mind to see life differently. You know this, right? 2 people can look at the same situation, and one person can go, oh no, and another person can go, oh, this is going to be interesting, right? Same situation. I'll never forget, I got this buddy of mine who's one of the more positive people that I know. We're in Atlanta. One of the worst things about Atlanta is the traffic. And we're pulling up to this interstate exchange where we knew there was going to be a lot of traffic. And as we start cresting the hill, you can immediately see the red lights, the tail lights, the brake lights. And he looks at me and he goes, oh man, this is going to be a good opportunity for some traffic. And I was like, are you a serial killer? Who says that, right? Like, that's ridiculous. This is a good opportunity for some traffic, right? But he was like, yeah, a little more time in the car, a little more conversation. This could be good. I'm like, see, I see this situation, and I think, you got to be kidding me. And you see it, and your mind is trained differently. I'm telling you, I know in some ways that's crazy, but it is possible. And the people in your life that have changed your life, they have it. You can think back to a moment, right? Maybe it was a moment where a relationship ended, you lost a job, you hit some financial crisis. For me, I'll never forget going to grad school. I was not feeling it. I was not excited about it. I walk into this 100-year-old dorm room. It's where me and Ryan actually met. Ryan, you've been in those dorms? I mean, they are disgusting. And I've never been in prison. I've never been incarcerated. But when I walked into that dorm room, I was like, this must be what prison feels like. Like, it's got to be similar to this. And my dad, I've got a wonderful father who he was over my shoulder going, this is perfect. This is exactly what you need. This is exactly where you need to be. This is going to be great. I mean, I looked around at him. I'm like, are you crazy, right? But he was real. He meant it. He was not just making it up. And I'm telling you, moments like that in your life, there have been people that have showed up that have been that for you. They have been the voice for good. They've been the wind in your sails. And the question is, can you choose to be that as well? Can you choose to capture those thoughts of negativity and replace them with joy? Having joy in our life, it begins with the thoughts in our mind. You want joy in your life, it begins with having thoughts in your mind. I'm telling you, this will affect work, this will affect home, this will affect every relationship that you have, but it begins with what's happening in your mind. So here's a couple of skills. We talked about this in the last session. I jumped ahead, unfortunately. But number one, we got to take our thoughts captive. So we got to take those thoughts of negativity captive, right? Most people with negativity, they are thinking out in the future about something that hasn't actually happened. And it's one thing to be prepared. It's one thing to be responsible. It's one thing to buy insurance. But it's another thing to live like that is an actual reality, right? And you got to take that thought captive and go, wait a second, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to hold on to this. I'm not going to let this rule the day. Second skill is this. We've got to audit our inputs, right? What does that mean? What does it mean to audit your inputs? Yeah, you got to pay attention to what you're putting in. Somebody have their hand up back there? What were we going to say? Yeah, you got to decide what you're putting in, right? You got to pay attention to what you're putting in. Everything you take in, you know this, it's going to affect your thoughts. So maybe for you it means I need to listen or I need to watch less news. Maybe you need to change what you're reading, right? My wife was telling me the other day that she was struggling with her thoughts. And one of the things I know about my wife, just like every middle-aged woman in America these days, she's a fan of true crime. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, wild idea, potentially it could be, call me crazy, the fact that every night you're listening to some story of some crime where someone murdered someone and did something despicable, deplorable, awful to them. Maybe, just maybe, that's why what's happening in your head is the way it is. But who am I, right? And she was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That can't be. I'm like, you're totally right. You're absolutely right. It couldn't be that, right? But that's an example of auditing our inputs, of going like, I got to pay attention to what am I reading? What am I listening to? What am I watching? What am I exposing myself to? Because all of that is going to affect what's happening in the head, right? We got to take every thought captive. We've got to audit our inputs. And then we got to choose. We got to decide. It really is a choice, right? It is a choice of what we dwell on. This is why gratitude is so powerful, because gratitude snaps us back into the reality of what do I have now, right? Have you ever heard that phrase, count your blessings, right? That's what counting your blessings is. Instead of counting sheep, I would encourage you can't fall asleep at night. Try counting your blessings, right? Because what is fear? What is anxiety? It's everything that's out in the future. It's all the things out in the future that could happen. What is gratitude? Gratitude is what do I have right now? Psychologists, therapists, they would call this mindfulness, right? It's the ability to be right here. The ability to pay attention to what am I experiencing now? Am I able to deal with this? Is there a chance that it could still work out? Is there a chance that, hey, I'm still alive, here's what I do have, this is what I got going for me? Learning how to do that, I'm telling you, it's as important as working out. It's as important as healthy eating. You got to choose. You got to make a decision of here's what I'm going to dwell on. Last thing, here's the leadership payoff for this. Negativity doesn't just affect you, it shapes the emotional climate around you. You remember how we began this conversation on mind traps? You're not just a victim to the culture. You're affecting the culture every single day. And the way you show up matters. And negativity, it affects the emotional climate that you put off. You got to decide, what do I want people to feel? I shared this with you last year, but for those that missed it, I'll share it again. When you have those moments where you look at your phone and you see someone's name pop up. To me, it's the phone test, right? It tells you, how does this person make me feel? For some of you, it's happened since you've been here, right? And you got some people, the name pops up, and you think, great, I can't wait to call this person back. This person is a wind in my sail. This is somebody that I need right now. And then in some cases, you see that name, and you think, not today, Satan, right? And you send them to your voicemail, which I would encourage you, this is just a little trick. There's a few people, not many, there's a few in my life that are like that. And I don't send them to voicemail. I make them wait through all the rings, just so I have that little moment of satisfaction. I'm just kidding. That's terrible. I wouldn't encourage you to do that. But what I would say is, would you be willing to turn the table? Would you be willing to go, all right, if there are people that I think about when I see their names, how do people think about me when they see my name, right? The people that work beside you, the people that work around you, your boss, the people that work for you. When they see your name pop up, how do they feel? You're not a victim to that. You actually have the opportunity to influence that, and that negativity mindset, being able to eradicate that and replace it with joy, that will change the way they feel when they see your name pop up more than anything else that we've talked about. All right, the last one is this. Well, let me give you these questions, but if you would just take a picture of them, we'll hold on to these and we'll come back and do this discussion. Then I didn't mean to put these in there. But what thoughts do I entertain that are holding me back? What are the negative thoughts that you entertain? Are there particular times in the day when you entertain them? What input shape my emotional state the most? Would you be willing to do an inventory, audit those inputs? And then lastly, what is the perspective that I need to choose daily? What's the perspective that I got to start making myself choose daily? All right, last trap is this. This is my favorite one to talk about. It's the all or nothing trap. You familiar with the all or nothing trap? This is the trap that says everything's perfect or it's awful. Everything's great or it's terrible. That was a total success or that was an utter failure. It's the tendency to think in terms of polar opposites without accepting the possibilities that lie between these two extremes. Pay attention. You'll start seeing it, right? Maybe you've got a boss like this. Maybe you've got some employees like this. Maybe you see this in yourself. It's that thing in us that wants to go, everything's great or everything's awful, everything's perfect or everything's terrible, that was a total success or that was a total failure. When the reality of life is that's not the way life works, right? The all or nothing mindset is the belief that if something isn't perfect, it's a failure. Here's some statements that people with the all or nothing mindset say. If I can't do it right, I won't do it at all. Now, there's an attention to detail, and there's a pursuit of excellence that's real. But if you live with it is only perfect or else it doesn't exist, you will never ship a product. You will never sell a product, right? That eventually you got to go, all right, this is where it is. We've done everything we can do, and now we're going to hit send, right? This is if we missed the goal, the whole quarter was a waste. If this launch isn't a home run, it's pointless. Now, I want you to just stop for 1 second and think about what would it be like to work for someone like that? Some of you don't have to imagine very hard because you know. What would it be like? It's a really difficult thing. It's binary thinking in a world that's actually incremental. We live in a world that is a little bit at a time, right? And again, what I'm not saying is take your foot off the gas and don't care about quality. Take your foot off the gas and don't care about excellence. No, there is a way to live excellently while still recognizing that life happens incrementally, that life is not just binary, right? It's the person that only will take perfection over paralysis. This is what ends up happening is I can either do it exactly the way I want to do it or I just won't do it. And that's a dangerous way to live, right? Maybe you've worked with people like that. Maybe you've seen that even in yourself. Here's the way this affects our leadership. This is my favorite part of this, is that here's what all or nothing leaders do. They overreact to setbacks. They struggle with feedback because feedback's all about growth, right? Feedback's all about, oh, we could take that and we're going to continue to incrementally change. We're going to continuously improve. They personalize failure, meaning if it didn't go well, there must be something wrong with me. They have emotional highs, emotional lows, and they create pressure-heavy cultures that you've probably worked in before. There's a poet that said it this way. I want to see if you recognize where this is from, but I think this is beautiful. This poet said, there's always going to be another mountain. I'm always going to want to make it move. There's always going to be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm going to have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Anybody know who wrote that? Miley Cyrus. And the fact that you knew that makes it even better. You must have daughters. Exactly. Yeah, that's Miley Cyrus. It's kind of a thoughtful way she put it, though, isn't it? That it is about the climb, right? I mean, this is a better way to think than just the all or nothing. This is the Alex Honnold. How do you say his last name? This is his way of thinking, right? It's one climb at a time. That we're actually moving somewhere. We're going somewhere. We're growing in some way. I think Miley said it well. Here's I'm going to give you 3 skills. The first one is a reframe. Here's the reframe. Resilient leaders, leaders with a healthy mindset, they replace perfect or nothing with better than yesterday. Better than yet, continual improvement, continual growth, it's just better than the all or nothing mindset. And so we got to identify it and then we got to replace it. And a great way to replace it is to say, all right, was I able to get 1% better? Is it better than yesterday? Here's a tactical strategy for you. I call it the 90% rule. The 90% rule says when something is 90% ready and directionally right, ship it, right? If it's 90% ready, 90% directionally right, hit send on it. Now, some of you are going to have a really hard time with this because this is not the way you live. For some of you, 90%, you're like, wow, I send it at 60. Well, you might need to grow a little bit in your quality, right? But I think 90% is a solid target because isn't there always something that can improve? Isn't there always something that can change? And if you never hit send because there's always something that can change or get better or fix, you'll never hit it. And so for a lot of you, you got to put on the 90% tactical strategy that just says, all right, when it gets to 90%, we're going to hit go, knowing that we're never done. We're going to continue to get feedback, listen, grow, and improve. All right, and the last one is this. It's the culture rule. The first one is the reframe, what you do in your head mentally. The second one's a strategy, and this is for the whole team. This is the culture rule, that what you reward will be repeated. That as the boss, you got to decide, what are we going to reward? Are we going to reward only perfect? Or are we going to reward growth, improvement? Let me tell you what I mean by that. If you only reward big wins, perfect outcomes, flawless execution, what are you going to get on your team? You're going to get risk-averse teams who are prone to hiding mistakes. Oh, the boss is coming. Cover it up. Don't want anybody to see it. Put a little bit of whiteout over it, right? And you're going to get employees, you're going to have leaders that are waiting too long to act. Now, let me flip it around. Let me show you the other side of the coin. If you say, all right, I'm going to go with the continual improvement strategy, the Miley Cyrus way, the we're climbing a mountain, if you reward learning, effort, feedback, iteration, what are you going to get? You're going to get resilient teams. You're going to get honest mistakes, right? You're never going to have a mistake-free culture, but you're going to get people that are willing to be honest about their mistakes. That's way better than hiding mistakes, and ultimately, you're going to get faster growth. You're going to create an environment, you're going to create a culture where people are willing to grow because they know we're never going to stop growing. We're always growing. So if that's the case, we're always there. This is a little bit like personal health, right? Your physical health. You would never go to the doctor and expect the doctor to say, oh my goodness, nurse, PA, NP, admin in the front office, billing, y'all get in here, you got to see this. This is the perfect human, right? Because that's not how health works. You could be really healthy today, and then you could change some things and get on a trend line going the other way, or you could flip it around. You could be in an unhealthy spot, make some changes, and get on a trend line that goes the other way. It's not a destination. Health is about where are you trending? Are you trending toward emotional health, spiritual health, physical health, or are you not? To me, it's another way to think about the all or nothing mindset, that instead of perfect or paralysis or being paralyzed, it's going, no, we're going to fight for continual improvement. Last thing, if you decide to fight for progress and not perfection, this is how resilient leaders are born. Built. Resilient leaders are built by, again, going through the hard thing, not getting knocked down, getting back up, and continuing to grow. This is believing that life is a laboratory. Did you ever take any classes that were pass-fail? That's a stressful situation, right? When you're like, if I don't get this right, I'm totally wrong and I'm out. A lot of us, too many of us, we think about our lives that way. But the reality of life is not pass fail. Life is more like a laboratory. And what do you do in a laboratory? You learn. You go, oh, don't make that mistake again. Make sure to do it that way instead of this way. And we take that learning and we allow it to allow us to grow. And that's how resilient leaders are built. They're built by going, you know what? I'm going to fight for progress. I'm not just going to fight for perfection. I'm taking one step at a time, always going to be growing. So a couple questions for you. I'd love for you to spend, are we going to do discussion, some discussion? Wait, we'll give you 10 minutes of discussion. We'd love for you to discuss these. Some of you took a picture of those negativity ones. You're welcome to discuss that. Or here's 3 questions on this one. Where do I personally default to all or nothing thinking? Is there a time, is there a particular part of your business when you find yourself doing that? Secondly, could there be a time, could there be a situation where you are interpreting failure inaccurately? Instead of saying, oh, I failed, I'm totally out. I lost that job, I must be a loser. We lost that client, then we're sunk. No, instead, is there a way to go, no. Here's what we learned because we're incrementally growing. And then last thing, what would change? What would change for you as a leader if you replace judgment with curiosity, particularly in stressful moments, right? In stressful moments, we want to find somebody to blame, but instead, we got to be curious to go, what can we learn here, right? I meant to put this at the end. I usually put a slide at the end that says, here's my email. I have found that my purpose on earth is to serve leaders like you. And so if there's ever anything I can do to help you, it would be my honor to get to do it. So my email is just clay.scroggins@gmail.com. Hit me up. If you're on LinkedIn, that's the new adult Facebook, evidently. But would love to connect with you. Thanks for your engagement. I hope the next 10 minutes of discussion will be great. I'll be around. Would love to say hello. Again, Brian, thank you so much for the invite. Jonathan, thank you. And you guys are awesome. See ya.